Good evening and welcome to the Joint Planning and Zoning Board and Board of Commissioners meeting of March 4th, 2025. I am Briggs Simmons, the Planning and Zoning Chair. Prior to this meeting, announcements were posted and notices were sent to all board members, commissioners, staff, interested parties, and applicants to participate in the meeting. I will now turn the meeting over to Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones, Madam Chair, to introduce and confirm the presence of the commissioners.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Again, I'm Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones, the Chairwoman of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. And to my right is our Vice Chairman of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Alcarez of District 4. And to his right is District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell III. We have two commissioners tonight that are not here, but we have Commissioner Raxton. You're online as well. If you could say present. Commissioner Raxton.
Present.
Oh, there you are. Okay, so we do have four commissioners present. We do have a quorum, and I yield the floor back to you. The Board of Commissioners have
Thank
a
you,
quorum.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Present tonight, we also have members of the Planning and Zoning Board. If you would confirm your presence, if I called your name. Rob Thomas, our Vice Chair from District 3.
Present.
Oric Curry from District 2.
Present.
Brandon Benneman, District 1.
Present.
Melissa Polk, District 4.
Present.
And I take a moment to welcome her. She's one of our new board members. This is her first meeting. Welcome. Frank Payne, our at-large member.
Present.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum. Allison Duncan, our Planning and Zoning Manager, will now introduce county staff and Planning and Zoning staff present in the meeting. Ms. Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have with us Tiffany Stewart Stanley, our Chief of Staff. We have our Chief Assistant County Attorney, Audrey Lewis. We have our County Engineer, Travis McDonald. We have the Managing Director of Transportation, Suleiman Rana. We have our Transportation Engineer, Bruce Mercer. We have our County Planner, Melody Glenn. We have our Zoning Administrator, Austin Cronin. And as always, we appreciate our Sheriff's deputies and our communications team for being with us tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is a reversionary clause that applies in each rezoning, and that is the applicant, the agent, or the property owner has 24 months to vest the zoning change after the Board of Commissioners has approved it. As far as tonight's procedure goes, I will conduct all the public hearing. Planning and zoning staff will introduce each application, followed by a full presentation of the application. The applicant or the applicant's representative and the members of the public in favor of the application will be able to present their information. They will have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. Following that, the opposition will also have 2 minutes per person or 15 minutes allocated time to present any information in opposition to the application. As soon as they finish or the time has elapsed, I will close the public hearing. At this point, the staff will clarify any questions that the zoning board has. If the staff can't clarify it, the applicant will be asked to clarify the questions, and this is not a time for the applicant to represent their case. Following that, the Planning and Zoning Board will entertain a motion. Our first agenda item tonight will be the approval of the minutes of February 4th, 2025 regular Joint Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Planning and Zoning Board members, after reviewing the minutes, are there any comments, changes, or questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Frank Payne. I recommend approval for the minutes of the February 4th, 2025 meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Or Curry, second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes of the February 4th, 2025 meeting, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, the minutes of the February 4th, 2025 regular Joint Planning and Zoning Board and Board of Commissioners meeting come to you with a unanimous recommendation for approval.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes from February 4th. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand and also saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. We have a 4 unanimous vote, and the motion carries to approve the minutes for February the 4th, 2025. And I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cronin, would you introduce our next agenda item, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, boards. So our first item is a special use permit to allow self-storage facility to include office and outdoor and RV storage located at 4063 Anawakey Road. The lot is 8.9 acres. This is in Commission District Number 3. Site's currently vacant. The topography of the site decreases by approximately 20 feet from Anawakey Road to the location of the one-story with the basement building proposed behind the Dollar General. The site is currently split zoned. So the applicant's requesting the special use permit also to allow the height of the storage facility buildings greater than 12 feet. Taking a look at the relevant code sections, in 2024, you'll recall the applicant came through for a special use permit to allow self-storage. That was denied, so the applicant has returned after the 6-month period has elapsed. So the applicant was approved via special use permit in 2021 per the use. However, the use was never vested, and so the applicant returned in 2024 but was denied. The site plan will need to be modified to accommodate the incompatible use buffer when abutting the residential properties. So this would impact the office building at the front, and you'll see the site plan in just 1 second. The height of both the one-story office and the one-story with basement buildings are approximately 30 feet, and the outdoor storage of dry boats and RVs are required to be screened from view by a 6-foot opaque fence. And so the incompatible use buffer would require an undisturbed 50-foot buffer unless an 8-foot high structural screen is provided, then the buffer can be reduced to 30 feet. This will be worked out through the Development Review Committee if approved. And at the previous public hearing, July 9, 2024, the Board of Commissioners expressed feedback that the use is not desirable use per the citizen feedback, and the comprehensive plan also echoes this sentiment. The impacts of the proposed use could be mitigated through conditions and strict enforcement of all relevant codes through the DRC process. Taking a look at the special use criteria, and here it is on the zoning map, and here it is as it's been developed. That's the Dollar General in the front. So here's the site plan, a one-story self-storage building with basement, approximately 60,000 square feet, and then a one-story office building and self-storage, approximately 12,000 square feet. And here are the provided elevations. This is a brick building with some kind of cementitious siding as well. And here are additional elevations as well. It's in the suburban living future land use and the traditional neighborhood character area. Staff's recommending denial based upon the findings that the granting of the special use permit will modify the comprehensive plan and modify the intent, purpose, and spirit of the UDC. And the granting of the special use permit will adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. And the character of this section of Anawakey Road is an emerging commercial node. However, the feedback from both the previous public hearing and the public engagement portion of the comprehensive plan do not favor this type of use. The predominant land use pattern in this area is single-family detached residential. Staff is recommending a condition should the board feel inclined to approve. The condition being that perimeter fencing for the site shall be required. The fencing shall be 8 feet in height and shall be polymer or composite-based material, opaque fence, decorative block, decorative metal, or vinyl material that simulates wooden fencing in appearance. If a reduction of the incompatible use buffer where the site abuts residentially zoned properties is proposed, the perimeter fencing shall be placed on the shared property line where the incompatibility of uses exists, and the undisturbed buffer so reduced shall be located behind the fencing interior to the site. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions as they come.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, you'll have 2 minutes per person for total allocated time, 15 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak? State your name and address for the record
It's
first.
Paul H. Robinson, Jr. And I appreciate y'all listening to this. I'm at 4025 Anawakey Road, 3 houses up from this project. This 8 acres has been zoned for probably 45 years, and it's always been designed to be a mini warehouse structure in the back because it's 40 feet below the road surface. So it's down in the hole. So the front would be a commercial, a beautiful commercial, kind of a strip center with beauty shops, things that would accent for the community. But the mini warehouse is not a warehouse. And I think that's where the misunderstanding is with the zoning department, because it says that, that they didn't want any more warehouses or distribution centers or industrial use or gas stations or car washes or Dollar General stores. And that's not what this is. A mini storage is on the average 10 by 10 space. It's only for the residential use. And on James Street right there, there's over 1,000 homes just south of this particular red light. And within 2 miles around, there's another 3,000 homes, and there's no mini storages down there. So these people that are looking for temporary storage need this product, because in HOA, homeowners associations, you can't have outside storage. So they need it for the local community. So it's not a warehouse. This place is completely secure, air conditioned, and enclosed. So with the strip center up front, you'll never even see the mini warehouse down below. So this is my presentation. I apologize for this being 3 times I've been up here, but I think you've approved it 2 times, and I don't know what changed. Sir, ma'am? Oh, sorry. All it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium. When you get here, if you'd state your name and address for the record, and then 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Lou Allen, and I'm representing Dogwood Blossom. There's 75 homeowners in that neighborhood that
Did you state your address?
Oh, my address. I'm at, what is the? 2506. 2506, sorry. Lee Road. 2506 Lee Road, Lithia Springs. But there are 75 homeowners in Dogwood Blossom that cannot have any kind of outside storage. They can't have anything on their porch. They can't have anything on their back porch. Nothing at all in the yard, which is good because it keeps everything looking beautiful and clean. But if you don't have a garage, if you don't have a basement, or you have to have the storage. And renting a storage right now in Douglasville, we have to go all the way over to Highway 5. It's very expensive. My daughter lives in Buckhead. She has a storage unit that is half of what we pay here in Douglas County. And it's just because there's just nothing left. They're 95% full. So it would be very helpful for our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium. State your name and address for the record, and then 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Katina Weber. It's 4021 Anniewakee Road. I'm here to represent several of my friends down in the same address, 4021, that just are senior, they're elderly, they're widowed, they're disabled, and getting back and forth to storage is very difficult for them. All, growing up into Douglas County, Douglasville. But other than that, the neighborhood just doesn't let blue tent storage work blue tarp storage work for them. So this is going to be a blessing for them. So that's it, pretty much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Webb. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? State your name and address, and then 2 minutes.
Yes, my name is Lynn Winters. I live at 3833 Greenbrook Drive in Douglasville, not too far from the Dollar General. I am new to Douglasville, fairly new. I did move into kind of like I downsized my home and moved into a single family home. So I do need more storage for some of my furniture and stuff like that. I did find that moving into Douglasville, there was no small storage facilities in my area. As the previous woman just spoke, there was one on Highway 5, but it was full. Currently, I hold a storage facility down in Noonan. That's not very convenient for me, but that I had to take what was given to me at the time. So I do feel like having something in our community will help out our overall community. More, like I said, for me, I'm a single parent, driving all the way to Noonan just to house some things that I kind of need, every, holiday season or seasonally just doesn't necessarily work for me. That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please state your name and address in 2 minutes.
E. John Citizen, 3970 Brook Hollow Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. I'm here on behalf of Con Boardwalk. The other person is putting a $13 million investment into this facility. $13 million investment that averaged out to about 50 homes in revenue. So you're talking about bringing $150,000 in revenue to the county. And it's all enclosed. It's not an up-pull door type storage unit. It's all encapsulated. It's all air-conditioned, all security, and it's going to create local jobs. They're a local company. They're out of Swanee. Our seller is local, right down the road from the project. So it's an investment to our community. We have people here, everybody here for it, raise your hand. That's for the project. And within a 2 to 3 mile radius, there's large apartment complex being built right across the street from it, a big apartment complex. Then you got 2 miles to Carlton, another large complex being built, and we just don't have enough. So my client has spent expense, they took the time to look at the area, they spent the money to see if it was pliable for their business. It's a good business model. They feel $13 million is worth coming into our community to spend, and so I'm happy to see Boardwalk coming into our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Name and address, and then 2 minutes, sir.
Ronald Smith, 4331 Singletree Drive. I just want to speak on behalf of it. We're for it, me and my family, my father. So we haven't had a storage facility around here. I spoke with several neighbors, and they were for it, but a lot of them weren't able to make it. But we really do need a storage center around there. The closest one, I think, is Highway 5, always full. Prices are up, and from what we're hearing, the prices will be a little lower for this storage center. And it's basically, I know you guys see it, but it's off of the street. You can't really see the storage facility where it's going to be made, which I think is a good idea, and it's just a good thing, a positive move. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Name and address in 2 minutes.
Joseph Priest, 1422 Pine View Trail. I've got stuff in storage over in Marietta, but I had to put in Marietta because there wasn't no place over here in Douglas County that I could get to. Every place I called, everybody was full up. And they have most of them have waiting lists. But I currently have my stuff over in Marietta. It would be nice to be able to get home with it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. Thank you, sir. You have 2 minutes after you state your name and address.
Paul Bishop, 3959 Oakwoods Court. I live within a minute of that proposed site, and I feel like it would be better placed on 92, where it could be accessed more easily and not necessarily in a residential area. I think it's going to increase traffic, which is already increasing on that small road, and I think a better spot for it would be on 92, like the other storage unit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? If you'd state your name and address, and then you have 2 minutes.
Artricia Mumford, 3560 Village Parkway. I'm right out for James Street in the retreat at Anawake, and I'm opposed to this. I didn't like the Dollar General. That's in an awkward place, and the storage facility will not be at a traffic light. We already have problems turning out of that street or even onto that street. So I'm not understanding why you want a facility that people are going to come in and out of, and there's no traffic light.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in opposition? Name and address, and then 2 minutes.
Good evening. Vanessa Livingston, 3965 Willow Ridge Road. I am against it. It's changing the character of the community. I would prefer that we look at what we're trying to get Douglas County to be. we're becoming too industrial. We're becoming too storage, too many warehousing, and I don't want that in the community. The frontage that they're talking about, that sounds nice, but it still changes the whole character of the community. So no.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one else moving, I'll close the public hearing in opposition. Planning and zoning, you've heard the discussion. Do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff, please?
It is Rob Thomas. I'd like to start with the staff, please. Can you pull up the rendering that shows the elevation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. With that being said, the applicant now, could you come up? I just want to have that up while I have my question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Thomas.
So a couple things that I wanted to discuss. Let's talk about the elevation first. You know, we don't want an eyesore, right? You hear that. Talk about the topography of the lot.
Yes, sir. The street level where the Dollar General is, that's where the red light is, and James Street's right behind it. On the right-hand side, coming into the red light, going through onto the 8 acres of commercial is where the office will be. And then it'll go down the hill 40 feet to down in the back. Won't ever be seen from the street. So that the rental office upstairs is just for you to come in and check in with your card, and then you'll go down. A gate will open. You'll go down the hill and into the project.
Okay. Oh, by the way, were you in agreement with the conditions if it was approved?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. I don't know if you mentioned that. All right. So you won't see the tops of, because you're asking for a little extra elevation, extra height anyway.
That's correct.
So you won't see that the tops of them from the street.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that's one question. The other is the strip center you mentioned.
Yes.
How's that work? What's that going to look like?
What it'll be is where the Dollar General is, to the left of the Dollar General, standing in Anawake Road, there's a strip there in front of that tower that's there, the big cell tower. There'll be a strip center there that'll have your beauty shops, your exercise gyms, your shoe, anything that's for the community. Because that traffic on Anawake Road, it is a lot of traffic, and it's designed to be 3-lane in the future. But right now, in the mornings and in the evenings when it's the worst. And a little restaurant there, like we got the Caribbean restaurant right across the street, gets a multitude of business. So there's a need there, and that's already zoned for commercial, and it's been zoned for, like I said, 40 years.
Right. So what's each space going to look like? What size? 13, 14, 1,500?
About 800 to 1,000 square feet.
Okay, small.
Small stuff.
Okay.
Just boutique stuff, just for the community. That's all that you're going to want there. That's all that anybody would want to rent there.
Okay. What about traffic concerns? I heard that came up a couple of times as well. What do you think about that? What's your
Yes, sir.
proposal?
Many warehouses don't create traffic. There's probably 10, maybe 11 cars a day to come in there, and there's a red light there already. So most of our customers are south of there on James Street. So they come straight across, just like you're coming to the Dollar General, and go down to the mini warehouse. So it's very convenient and totally hidden.
Any easements with the Dollar General?
No, sir. No, sir. We own
Everything be
the whole
separate.
8.8 acres.
Okay. Everything's separate. All right. And any changes made to your site plan from last time? I mean, like you said, you've been there several times. Any changes
No.
from the last, any major changes from the last applicant?
No, sir, and
review?
that's what the puzzlement is about being denied on the zoning department, because nothing has changed. I understand the 23 comprehensive plan, but it was including warehousing, and I think people misconstrued that, because a mini storage is not a warehouse. It's a 10 by 10 on average facility that's air conditioned and protected for the community. So it's not for industrial.
How many spaces? So how many units you want to have? Just so the public knows.
Probably 300 to 400 units, all air conditioned, enclosed for security.
Okay, so you just can't roll up the door and?
No,
pull
sir,
up?
it's none of those.
Okay.
That's old timey.
What about your lighting? Is it gonna be interfere with,
All exterior,
residential?
yes, sir. It's all security inside, all lighting on the outside and fenced.
And fenced, okay. All right. I yield, don't have any other questions.
You good? Hold on. You gonna go, Brad?
Yeah. Okay, I got a couple questions for staff first. All right, so 2 questions for staff. First one is, can you clarify as to whether or not this is going to actually be at a red light, at a traffic light? Because I heard one of the residents say that it wouldn't be at a traffic light. So can you clarify that for us, please?
I'd have to defer to DOT as to if a traffic light is warranted or the existence of one at that location. So
Yeah, that's the big question. While you make your way up here, just to answer that question, the true ask is, will they be using the same light that's used for the dollar store to access this storage facility, or will there be a need for a new light to be created?
Good evening, Board. That is correct. There's a traffic light existing at the intersection of James Street, and that seems to be their primary access for the storage facility.
Got it. So it's more like they'll go alongside the dollar store to get to this facility, or?
Right, they're using the same intersection.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. All right, now this is for staff, probably be for Allison or one of you guys planning zone. Thank you. Okay, asked you this question before, but I want to ask for the record. Do we as a county have any way that we're assessing the need for storage? Do we have any type of metrics that we're pulling, any type of numbers that we're pulling on rooftops, or the use around the county of the current storage that we have? As you guys are making the recommendation to us, do you guys have any way that you're assessing the actual need for this in the community?
Right, so when we are making our staff recommendation, we are taking a look at the comprehensive plan and any other relevant long-range planning documents. We are also looking at the 9 criteria in the code. So a market assessment is not part of the 9 adopted criteria in the code by which the staff is to review and make recommendations on a case. We have been getting feedback that perhaps some additional economic analysis may be helpful, so we're exploring options for that. But our recommendation comes primarily from our adopted codes, policies, regulations, and then principally these 9 criteria in the code for a special use permit.
All right, could you tell me what the code in suburban living, you don't have to be specific, but just in general what the code says for suburban living when it comes to storage facilities?
Right, so again, the suburban living character area, and I think I'm going the right way. So the suburban living character area and the traditional neighborhood, suburban living future land use map and traditional neighborhood character area sort of comprise this area primarily around the city of Douglasville that is mostly single-family detached residential structures. So again, I think looking for a use in this area that could support the development of single-family detached residential structures is primarily what we are going to be looking at here. Now, is a mini warehouse one of those uses that possibly could? I think it's fair to argue that it could. The reason this is getting a negative recommendation from staff is principally, as Mr. Robinson had indicated, this has been out here, not measured in just years, but decades. It has failed to develop over time. They came back to you in 2024 after allowing a special use permit to elapse again in 2021, and they said, hey, I think we're ready to move forward now. But at that time, it was determined by the Board of Commissioners that conditions had changed such that we wanted to see a different use. So as you all are aware, the state law requires 6 months to elapse before a denied application can come back in front of you. And so that's why it is here tonight, is to see if this is a time that you want to reconsider the decision made previously.
Okay, so this will be my last question for you guys. So I heard you say the thought is, does whatever we put here, the thought is for it to match this character area, that it needs to support single-family homes, right?
Correct. I think that underneath the general commercial zoning classification, there are a number of uses that can support the adjacent traditional single-family residential development and be considered an amenity to the area. So again, if it is the determination of the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of Commissioners that this use does that, we will certainly take that direction. But as we'd identified, for many, many years previously, this property has sat vacant. And so looking to see what is the use that could possibly come in and fill the need of the neighborhood. There's a number of uses that could go onto this property that are not storage units.
Beautiful. Okay, that does my questions for staff. Now I want to speak to the applicant, if I could, please. All right, so I'm hearing the decade conversation. Property's been around for a while. Property nothing's happened, been invested, or was invested in the time period. Can you kind of just describe to us that timeline, what happened in between those times, why nothing happened in between those times? Just give me the background on
Yeah,
what's
of
happening.
course. What happened, 1984, J.D. Hall, and a lot of us knew him, he was old residents, started developing that property. And he actually was going to put the mini storage in the back and a strip center in the front. So he started grading, and on March the 30th, 1985, 40 years ago this month, he was coming to work, and somebody was in his truck. And so he went down to see who it was, jerked it open, and the guy that was sitting in the seat had his gun out of the glove box and shot him right in the heart and killed him. So his wife couldn't proceed with the development, so it sat there for a long time. Then somehow she sold out to the tower that was there, and for the community, for radio, for telephones. And so then another developer came in, she sold it to him, and he built the Dollar General and the intersection and the red light for 250 grand, whatever it was. And so those guys moved out, and I purchased it in 2020. So we went to zoning to change it for zoning, because I thought it was grandfathered because it was 40 years ago, you know, it was under CG or CH, and so I thought it was grandfathered, but it wasn't. So we applied and got approved. But the 24 months was during COVID, and all the banking and all of the COVID slowed us up until the 2 years lapsed. And so once that lapsed, we had to come back again and have it zoned again.
Got it. Okay, and then there was approval in 24, right? And then there was a period of time that it did.
It was approval in 21, and then the 2 years lapsed, so we came back in 23 or 24, and y'all approved it, but Mr. Axton made a motion to deny it.
Okay, got it. Approved in 21, then denied again in 24. Okay, I think that answers all my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I have one for the applicant.
Yes.
Okay. What about, my question is about lighting and security. What's this gonna look like on the property, and accessibility, like we talked about for the people that you said they were using a key fob or some type to get inside, but what would the facility look like for security reasons?
Upstairs, when you come into the facility beside the Dollar General, there'll be a keypad, and you'll punch in your specific code, and then you'll go down inside. The gate will open, and you'll go down inside. Now, it's lighted all the way around the perimeter and fenced for our security, building the facility for, you know, we want to make sure it's, when people are down inside, we have cameras in it, we have everything so we can see what's going on. There'll only be one person up there at the attendance and one person doing maintenance. So it's pretty tight ship.
Okay, and my final question would be, what are your projected costs for those units?
It's going to be, you mean rental? Because the whole project's a little north of $13 million.
I'm talking about rental for your units.
They'll run from $150 for a minimum up to, it depends on what size, because you have 5 by 10s, you have 10 by 10s, you have 10 by 20s. So it just depends on the size.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
I have,
Yeah, no.
I just have one question. The availability, is that open 24 hours?
Yes, sir, it is. And it's, you know, in Douglasville, we're about 95% full in the community. So when you actually run the numbers, people that rent here are paying more for rental units than they are in Roswell. And that's just not right. And so that's why we're building it. This is strictly for our community that lives in that area. So, I mean, and the security is very tight.
Okay, thank you. That'll be all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board?
I have one for staff this time. This quick question.
Yes, sir.
If they were only going to go with a strip center, community center, some retail spaces,
Like a shopping center?
shopping center, 5, 6, 7 spaces. What would you be able to approve that off the, I mean, obviously not knowing all the particulars, but just saying that type of development?
Generally speaking, in a commercial zoning classification, a shopping center would be something we could approve by right. Now, as you said, the specific tenant mix within that shopping center may or may not require a special use permit, but shopping centers are generally permitted as a building type in that.
So the shopping
commercial zoning
center
district.
part is really not the issue here. It's mainly, so the shopping center part of this development is not most of the issue. The main issue is the
Right.
storage units.
Self-storage or mini warehouse units do require a special permit.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So by right, they could put the first part, the front part out there. By right.
Correct.
for
Yes,
most
the
part.
building. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. It's just so really all this is really is about is the special use permit for the storage units.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to put it out there for everybody to know. I already knew, but
Thank you.
that's for everybody else to know. Thank you.
I got one more question, please. Got time, Burke? One more question? All right, not for you, Allison. Actually, I wanted to speak to the partner for out of Swanee. If I could speak to you guys. Can you give me just a little bit of your background as a partner? And
yeah, my name's Doug Steverson. I'm with Boardwalk Development Group. I'm the COO of the company. So we are a self-storage operator. We're one of the 50 largest self-storage operators in the country, based here in Georgia. And we've been looking for an end to Douglas County. It's kind of hard to get things done within Douglas County. I know somebody mentioned Highway 92. We were specifically told that was a corridor to avoid. And we were pointed actually by planning and zoning to this particular site. So I'll say that, but we're active self-storage developers and owners. So we cycled through a few, but we've built or acquired 32 self-storage facilities. We generally have those managed by a third party, one of the public REITs. So as far as security and as far as accessibility, cleanliness of the site, that's going to be paramount for us. What else can I tell you?
just want to know how long you guys been in operation.
Oh, I'm sorry. So since 2016.
Okay, beautiful. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll
One
throw it up.
one quick clarification, when they said they were pointed to this site by planning and zoning, that would have been several years ago when the special use permit was still active. So I did want to clarify, we did have that conversation with developers looking to come on 92. We pointed them to a site that was already entitled, but as we have identified, the special use permit had lapsed without any application coming forward to y'all. So I just want to clarify that.
Thank you. Madam Chair, turn it over to the board for questions you folks may have.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, are there any questions? Do we have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Raxton.
Okay, Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. So this is for staff. Allison, just let me know when you're at the podium.
It's 600 feet of 5 and
You have both Allison and Austin here, Commissioner Raxton.
All right, thank you. So again, just want to clarify that this position today is only for the storage facility and not storage facility slash any type of other development like a retail development. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So the position of staff is that a retail development could be an amenity to the surrounding residential. We do recognize that this is an emerging commercial node. However, the particular special use permit would be for the mini warehouses and self-storage.
Okay, thank you. Could you also share, just for our edification, other uses under the current zoning use that this particular site could be used for as designed?
So anything that would go in a strip center that wouldn't require a special use permit could vary from your traditional offices, so a tax office, tax preparation, daycare site. There could also be a fast food restaurant, any kind of small scale restaurant that didn't have a drive-through window as well. Personal care. Yep, yeah, personal care services like barbershops, nail salons, spas, and general retail. Is that
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is then for the applicant. If you just let me know when the applicant is on the, at the podium, greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Axton, I'm here.
Hey, good afternoon, thank you. So based on what we have previously discussed, as far as other opportunities and other uses for this particular site, has there been given any additional thought and consideration to what has been shared that could be currently utilized for that particular as zone, that parcel?
Yes, sir, Mr. Axton. The reason is we have been doing that research, and because of the elevation of the land, the mini warehouses is about the only thing that you can utilize that the consumers would enjoy.
Okay, so I may just want to ask then, how was that confirmed, or was there, what type of study was conducted to confirm that that is what the community is asking for and seeking at this time?
Yes, sir. We have a commercial realtor here with us that confirmed those that that in that particular area, that's ideal for the mini storage facility and a strip center in the front to cover that.
Okay,
Would
and
you
I guess
like-
again, my question is in regards to input from residents, engaging the residents and what is it that they're seeking or their ask for that particular site?
Yes, sir.
Has that been discussed? And if so, what type of studies or what type of conversations have been held related to that?
Yes, sir. We had a public input meeting. We had 3 young ladies that came. They asked a lot of questions. We answered all those questions. And before they left, they were interested in renting a mini storage.
Okay, so, and how many sessions or how many meetings were held with the residents? You mentioned the one there.
Yes, sir. We had the one that was required.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
Allison? Maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Okay,
I'm
2 weeks
sorry.
ago.
Yes, sir. 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so if you recall, when we had the petition and applications brought before this board last year in 2024, there was definitely more sentiment against moving forward with approving another storage facility. But in actuality, we have almost a brand new facility that's been built on Chapel Hill Road right by the mall. And all of the different responses, input that I've received from residents has not changed. So that's why I'm trying to get a better idea of what has changed since maybe 6 or 7 months ago when this petition was held versus today.
Are you asking me a question? What's been done?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What has changed as far as the sentiment of the community and the residents based on when this petition was voted on, actually, in July 9th. What has changed since July 9th?
The last meeting before this particular meeting, we had a public hearing and we had no one that came against the zoning. On this particular one, it was advertised out front, as you well know, and the 3 people that came were very concerned with the mini warehouses and had a lot of questions. And we were there, and our staff was there, and we answered all of them. And like I said, when they left, they were very agreeable to the mini warehouses.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you've answered my question, but I do want to go on record that when I was out in the community, and not that long ago, and going door to door, having conversations with the residents, they were very, very upfront and very vocal about District 3 and bringing in any type of additional storage facilities and units in the community and in the district. So that is going to be the position that I stand on this evening. But Madam Chair, I will go ahead and yield the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other questions or comments? Board. Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
And maybe for staff and or the applicant, can you speak to the buffer? I noticed, there was a buffer condition if by chance it passed or whatever the case may be, what that looks like, what that entails. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So anytime a commercial property develops and it abuts residential properties, it would have to provide a 50-foot undisturbed incompatible use buffer. This can be reduced to 30 feet if they provide an 8-foot high structural buffer, and that can be a fence or a berm. So the concern here is the office building at the front, though these details are generally worked out through DRC. We check for the incompatible use buffers to mitigate impacts of light, noise, glare, odor. But that's essentially the incompatible use buffer. And then the condition itself concerned perimeter fencing along the site.
So that's kind of optional, and I guess maybe the applicant will determine what that is, which route they take, or is it something that's going to be required, or?
So if it's approved and you're inclined to approve it, you can implement this condition for perimeter fencing. It does specify the fencing type and then the height as well. So they could opt in for the structural buffer as well for the front part of the property where it abuts the residential, and it abuts the residential on 3 sides.
Correct. Right. So I guess my question, maybe this may be for the applicant, but don't go far.
Okay.
Maybe for the applicant, that kind of what is your plan in the event that, you know, it's in your favor when it comes to the buffer, kind of what that, to kind of keep that community off the backside, I think it is. And what, you know, they got the natural buffer, the
Yes.
fencing.
Yes.
Kind of what, have you made that plan yet, or are you just still?
Yes, sir.
kind of-
We have a preliminary plan now that has a natural buffer
Okay.
all the way down. And we'll have fencing inside that buffer.
Right, because you'll fence in the storage units.
That's correct.
Okay, got it, okay, good enough. And staff again, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, because it seems like we got a couple of things going here. There's the mini storage, and there's a part in here that talks and deal with some other form of commercial use, small. So, but that has nothing to do with this particular zoning special land use permit.
Yes,
Help me to
sir.
understand that so I can get clarity on that.
Yes, sir. So the portion that would be the strip commercial is the portion on the front and the bottom right, or sorry, bottom left of the screen. That's not a part of this application here. That can come in by right because it would just be a building.
Okay,
at
so
that-
that's, okay, I'm sorry, let me let Allison speak. to
One
that.
thing I wanted to add, just because there's been maybe a bit more conversation about the shopping center or the commercial.
Correct.
I do want to clarify that we have not conditioned anything to that commercial piece coming in. So if there's a concern from the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of Commissioners about the timing of this, so I guess if the concern is that if you approve the mini warehouses, will you ever get the shopping center on the front? We want to make it clear that that isn't anything that we considered as a part of this application because it would be a by right. So because there's been more discussion about that than maybe we had anticipated, I want to just kind of put that out there that if somehow having the shopping center on the front and the mini warehouse in the back is starting to be represented as something coming in holistically, that may be something that you want to condition as a part of any approval you may be contemplating.
Got
Not
it.
saying you are contemplating
Understood.
that,
Right,
but I
right.
kind of
Understood.
get that there's from your questions, I see that maybe those two issues are getting conflated. So I want to
I
make
wouldn't
sure
call
we're
them issues.
accurately
It's just that,
representing.
I think everybody probably looking for clarity, because I was under the impression that the mini shopping plaza center, whatever that is that's an automatic.
It is not. No,
It is
sir,
not.
unless somehow you would like us to draft a condition that would make it clear that the permitting of the shopping center would need to be contemporary to the permitting of the storage units.
Oh,
So, so apologies if we didn't make that clear, but the special use permit request is just for the mini storage units.
it.
And so just to make sure we're very transparent, if it's the will of the board that both come in concurrently, we would need to make sure that that's something that's clarified. You may also want to ask the applicant if that is
Right.
part of the overall plan, because I think that the idea was to just cut that front piece off as something TBD down the road.
Understood.
So want to make sure we're understanding that if those are getting conflated, so.
And I don't know if the applicant want to speak to that, if you would like to. I mean, you don't have to, because I don't want to complicate it.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
okay.
absolutely not. That piece in the front is what we're going to build a strip center on.
Right.
That'll accent the rest of the property. That's the most expensive piece on the 8 acres.
Got it.
So it's definitely going to be used as a strip center.
So, listening to staff, that'll be something that'll have to come down the road.
That's correct.
that we'll speak to.
And Mr. Mitchell, it's actually currently zoned for that. He
That-
can
well,
put
that's
that
what-
in
yeah,
today.
that's what I thought.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, we don't need a special land use
Right.
permit. We don't need anything. We can go put it up tomorrow under plans, to
Okay.
answer your question.
Okay, thank you. But Allison, looked like you want to add something to that.
But again, if you want to make sure they build it, you will need to make that a part of the condition for the special use permit.
Well, I don't think if, and this is not to say that this is approved, but I don't think we want to complicate it, because I think where we are now, I think we need to stay there and decide on whether we're for it or against it. And then we'll work on the other stuff. But it got convoluted.
Understood.
It did.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you again, and I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other questions? Okay, I just have one or two. I have one for the staff. Austin, if you could.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could just speak to, you mentioned something earlier about public safety welfare. Can you explain why you mentioned that?
Yes, ma'am. The reason we input the condition, should the board feel inclined to approve, is to mitigate impacts of light, noise, glare, odor. The standard considerations, based on the impacts provided from fire and the sheriff, we didn't see anything that would cause concern.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. DOT, if you could come up, our Managing Director, Rana. Just have one question regarding traffic. There was a concern mentioned about the traffic certainly being, I guess, congested in this area. With these type of units, I'm not sure if this requires a traffic study, because all 400 residents of these storage units will not be coming at one time. They come intermittently and in between. Is that correct? Or will this require anything else from you?
That is correct, Madam Chair. It does not really generate substantial continuous traffic. Given the development and the size, we're anticipating about 48 daily trips. And given that the intersection is signalized with proper turn lanes, we don't have any concerns at this point.
Okay, thank you. All right, the applicant, if you could just come forth. Can you talk about the climate control? I love that idea of climate control that keeps everything cool in the summer and heated up in the winter.
That's correct.
Can you speak to it a little bit for our citizens?
Yes, ma'am. That's, people started doing that several years back because people were putting their furniture in, their antiques in, things that they want to, their heirlooms they want to save, and it's just better in a conditioned environment. Instead of like the old ones that didn't have any type of heat and air, it was more subject to whatever the weather was outside. But that's why you'll see it enclosed completely, and all the modern stuff that minis are done just like that.
Okay. Did also, you mentioned earlier, I believe I heard you say there may be enough, the buildings, or should I say the little storage units may accommodate a boat. Is that true? Or?
No.
Okay, maybe I just heard something.
There's I think 12 spaces outside. For something that you got a community in a community where they don't allow you to stick your boat outside.
Mm-hmm.
You can put it in there in a secure environment.
Okay. And then I had one other thing for you, I believe. You said 300 to 400 units. You did say that, and I think that's all I have for you.
All right. Thank you,
All
Madam
right?
Chairman.
Okay. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on S 2025-15, please?
This is Brandon Penman. I make a motion to approve application S 2025-15.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Frank Payne, second.
My apologies, I'll restate the motion. It's Brandon Penman. I make a motion to approve application S 2025-15 with the conditions as read in by staff.
We now have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Planning and Zoning Board. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-15 With the condition that was read into the record, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chair, S 2025-15 comes to the Board of Commissioners with a recommendation for approval.
Thank
The condition.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I would like to make a motion that we deny S 2025-15, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, at this time.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second, Board? The motion fails for lack of a second. Okay, do we have another motion? Anyone else?
Okay, so
Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve S 2025-15.
Okay, do we have a second? With conditions. Do we have a
And by
second?
staff.
Do we have a second? You second it?
I was asking over to you.
Second. Do we have a motion and a second on the floor? Any discussion?
Just one.
Okay.
Allison, this may be for you. You spoke of and I think the applicant spoke of it as well, in reference to the potential of the other commercial piece, and I apologize, I'm having to see.
Shopping center on the
Shopping
front.
center,
Yes,
thank you.
sir.
Right. So should we, or is this moment is the time in the event that this passes, that we condition it along with the conditions that are already in the findings we have thus far, to say something that would inclusively include that, which they already seem to agree that they're going to do it anyway, so.
Certainly. So if you would like to make sure that that shopping center does get built,
Okay.
Then we would recommend that you add a condition that would require both the shopping center and the mini warehouse permit be pulled at the same time, or within a certain time frame of one another, and that no certificate of occupancy is issued on the mini warehouses until there is also a certificate of occupancy to be issued on the shopping center within that same time frame.
Okay, well, I wouldn't want to make it that extreme.
Okay.
However, I want to first hear from the applicant to see if by chance that's something that you're okay with or not doing, or you prefer to keep them separate.
We'd prefer to keep them separate because we got one project to do first. As soon as we finish that one,
Right.
we're going to do the next one.
Got it, okay.
Unless you want to let us borrow some money.
I'll pass. Okay, so that's fine. We'll just keep it separate and let these guys kind of come back and do that all well. Okay, and that's I have no other comments.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, when I call you district, please indicate. District 1?
Yes.
District 2, which is, she's not here. District 3? District 3?
No, nay.
Okay. District 4?
Yes.
Chairman, yes. We have a 3-1 vote, and the motion carries. Okay. All right. Okay. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Robinson, now, thank you very much. Best of luck to you. Let's wait about 30 seconds for them to exit.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Madam Chair, it's Commissioner Raxton. I need to drop the call this time and go back into session.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner, for joining us. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Duncan, if you would introduce the next item, please.
All right, thank you. The next application we have in front of you is a request for special use permit to allow a short-term rental located at 3071 West County Line Road. This is on a third of an acre lot, and this is in Commission District Number 2. So the subject property fronts on West County Line Road. It is currently the site of a single-family home. This is a 2,732 square foot single-family home, and the request is to use this for a short-term rental. So there is a principal dwelling, and again, the request is to use a short-term rental, so that's like an Airbnb or rental for under 30 days. So we have analyzed the relevant code sections, which you can see in front of you here. We do find that this application qualifies for the special use permit for the short-term rental. The existing single-family detached structure was built in 1987. We have also taken a look at the special use criteria, and staff does feel like the request is compatible with the special use criteria in the code. So looking at the zoning map, you can see the property, which is located in a neighborhood. It is zoned residential low density. And here is an aerial image and also a plat of this property. So this is located in our urban residential future land use category in our traditional neighborhood character area. And so staff is recommending approval of the special use permit with findings that the use will not substantially modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code, nor will it negatively impact surrounding properties, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect public health, safety, and welfare. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Duncan. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, that would like to speak in favor, you have 2 minutes, 15 minutes total allocated time. Is the applicant present? Okay. You don't have to speak if you don't want to.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Lee?
This is
State your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Longchuan Lee. I'm the applicant. This is my first time to attend a public hearing, so your patience, I really will appreciate your patience. So this house used to be my primary residency, and I moved out and I rented out, and it turned out the tenants didn't take care of the house properly. The lawn is not cut, and my neighbor actually, right side neighbor, Patrick, he even mentioned that to me, and then I decided to turn it into a vacation rental, and we hosted a lot of families during the holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then my neighbor Patrick, even part of my team, he helps me do small repairs, and he's really right now is much happier because of the overall we have a professional lawn care company. We fix problems whenever there's any issue. So, and we serve families we read the reviews, families came here for holidays to meet their, extended family. It's really, satisfying.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. If you would
Thank
just stand by, we'll probably have some questions in a moment.
Sure, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Okay, seeing no one moving, I will close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff?
I have a question for the applicant.
Mr. Lee?
So you said that will you be staying at the property, or you will not be staying at the property? I didn't kind of hear you on that.
Oh, I used to live in the property, but now I do not stay in the property.
Okay, and is it going to be, how many rooms?
There are 3 bedrooms upstairs.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so all of them's going to be for rent?
Yes. But they are only rented as an entire house, only one family, not separate by room. No strangers can live in the house at the same time.
Okay, so when you rent it, everybody's going to be staying in there when they rent it through whichever this company you use?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have no other questions. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Just for curiosity's sake, will you be using Airbnb or Vrbo or one of the main platforms like that?
Yes,
Okay.
Airbnb and the Vrbo.
Okay, cool. Just for that clarity. All right, thank you. That's it.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board?
Yes, I have a question. Can we come back to showing the property lines, like the parcel numbers? go back, yes, so the one highlighted in red is your property that you're intending to rent, correct?
Yeah.
And you said that you had spoken to your neighbor whom is in agreement to this particular agreement, so for you to rent this property, correct?
Well, like my neighbor on my left side, we talk more. Like it seems like he has a family there. We met each other when I was living there. We met each other in the backyard, and then we were talking about this. And right now we just communicate frequently. And he's even helping me because he lives right next door. Like if we have some emergency, like, hey, Patrick, can you help us? And he would just go there to help us.
Okay, and so have you discussed this with any of your other residents, like within, 2 doors down, each left and right? Like, have you discussed that with them as far as this being a residential community? Have you discussed how they feel about having, multiple times strangers that they're not from this community being there? Have you asked what how they feel about that?
Unfortunately, I haven't talked to my neighbor on the right side or across the street. I'm more than happy to write them the registered mail, just telling them what happened, and this is my contact information. If they have any feedbacks, they feel free to reach out to me. And another thing, I feel pretty confident in that when we're operating this, we have an exterior security camera that is not, monitoring the front yard. It's also on the roadside. I feel that helped significantly in terms of local security. If I have some bad intentions I probably do not want to do in front of the security camera. So far, we have not received a single complaint. I think to a certain extent, it really due to the peaceful neighborhood. I feel like a lot of people coming to our properties are really visiting their families, and they're very polite, peaceful. And we have a super strict house rules as well, no vaping, smoking, pets, parties. With our security camera there, whenever there's people, I have a virtual assistant who's helping me monitoring the security camera 24/7. Whenever there is abnormal activities, we immediately call the guests. To a certain extent, because they are short-term guests, if they keep doing it, we can just say, hey, this is against our house rules. If you continue to do this, we're gonna call the local police to stop. So far, I think we have not got any complaints from the neighbors.
And so you're actively renting this home right now through the Airbnbs?
Yes. Yeah. Before, when I first started, I called around, and I think I was asked to register a general business license. I immediately followed all the steps. I renewed, and then I got a letter saying that I need to apply for this special use permit.
Okay. And then I think my last question to you is that you had stated that this was your primary resident, but now you're no longer residing there.
Yeah.
And not asking for an address, just asking for a time frame. How far are you away from this property in the event that the owner of the property is needed to address an issue?
Yeah, less than 30 minutes. I live in the south part of Smyrna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No further questions.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it over to the board for questions you folks may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Board of Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
So if I heard you correctly, you're already renting Airbnb. Got it. Is there an HOA part of this community?
No, there's
no
not.
HOA. Okay. And you said 30 minutes away in the event that there's something uniquely happening, because it sounds like you got a system in place that you can see all the movements and stuff around the, so that way if a party broke out, you would know immediately.
Trust me, I hate parties more than anyone else in that neighborhood because they trash the house, they disturb the neighbors. Neighbors can call the local police, and we're in trouble. So because of that, I not only live nearby, I have my neighbor who is keeping a watchful eye all the time. We have security camera with online virtual assistants watching it all the time. So far, honestly speaking, we have not got any really bad situation in that neighborhood at all, for our property. because, partially because we have the system that is constantly reminding, like if we notice something that is not right, and partially because that neighborhood is already so peaceful and family oriented. So I think that both factors contribute to.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay. I yield. Thank you. And I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other questions? Vice Chairman Alcaraz, you have the floor.
So I'm just making sure I heard you correctly. You've only notified one neighbor about this potential being an Airbnb?
So right now I only talked to my neighbor on the left side, and I haven't really met other neighbors and talked to them partially because I'm not super extroverted, but I'm more than happy to write them registered emails, submit all those with all of my contact information there, telling them what is this used for. If they have any questions, they can reach out to me either, through all different ways, and I'm more than happy to submit all those evidence.
Okay, all right. Now yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chairman. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Planning and Zoning Board, you can sit down, Mr. Lee.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on S 2025-16?
Or Curry, I make a motion to approve S 2025-16 for a special use permit to allow short-term rental located at 3071 West County Line Road.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-16, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chair, comes to S 2025-16 comes to the board with a unanimous recommendation for approval.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Okay, sure. I'll make a motion to approve item S 2025-16.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Motion fails for the lack of a second. Board of Commissioners, do we have another motion? Would anyone like to make another motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny S 2025-16.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please, when I call your districts, respond accordingly. District 1?
No.
District 2? Oh, District 3, I'm looking at you, like District 3, he's not here. District 4?
Yes.
And Chairman, yes, we have a 2-1 vote and the motion carries to deny. Okay? I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Madam Chairman. Next agenda item, please.
Yes, sir. So the next agenda item is a special use permit to allow a self-storage facility off of Highway 5. The lot is 21.8 acres. This is in Commission District number 4. Oh,
It's 3.
3. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, sir. Property is currently vacant and wooded. The prior rezoning for a shopping center from 1972 was never vested, and the property is situated at a gateway between more intense commercial and residential neighborhoods. So the special use permit is for 3 self-storage buildings and an office building totaling 60,140 square feet. So we've taken a look at the relevant code sections, and the prior zoning action was from 1972 to rezone it to heavy commercial for a shopping center that was never vested. The proposed use is a use intended to serve more than one neighborhood as anticipated by the Community Village Center future land use designation. However, the use is not one envisioned by the Community Village Center future land use designation. That's to say that the use itself is under contention with the future land use designation. The site plan, as presented, sets aside tracks for future commercial development with a shared driveway. However, the special use permit would entitle the entire parcel, and there's no means to ensure the intent materializes without conditioning the special use permit to the site plan, as presented, which you'll see in just a second. The proposed use is situated at a gateway between more intense commercial uses and residential neighborhoods, so impacts of emanations of light, noise, glare, odor from the site could be mitigated through perimeter fencing and the enforcement of the 50-foot incompatible use buffer when abutting residentially zoned properties. We've taken a look at the special use criteria. From the zoning map, it's currently heavy commercial. And from the site aerial, you can see it's vacant. And here is the site plan. So 60,000 square feet of development here. in more detail on this slide. So here is a rendering provided by the applicant, and the applicant would be best suited to talk about the material presented here, the siding material and all of that. It's in the Community Village Center future land use and the Highway 5 transitional corridor. Staff's recommending denial of the special use permit based upon the findings that the use will modify the comprehensive plan and the intent, purpose, spirit of the UDC, and the granting of the special use permit will adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. Staff is recommending a condition should the board feel inclined to approve. The condition being that perimeter fencing for the site shall be required. The fencing shall be 8 feet in height and shall be polymer or composite-based material, opaque fence, decorative block, decorative metal, or vinyl material that simulates wooden fencing in appearance. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. This time I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. If you'd state your name and address for the record, and then 2 minutes, sir.
Perry Solem, 163 Murray Hill, Atlanta, Georgia. I want to thank you for your time tonight and for showing up, everyone in this room. I know we might disagree on some things, and that's okay. What matters is that we're listening to each other. The law states that an RV park is allowed by right on this site. The staff confirmed this multiple times for me, so we invested because we truly believed in that idea. There's now a pending lawsuit, but we believe the law is clear. But we don't want conflict. We care about what the neighbors think. They told me last year that they would much rather have a storage facility. When no one attended the information meeting, I reached out to every home in the adjacent subdivision, knocked on doors, left flyers, made calls. Every neighbor who met with me signed this piece of paper. I also got signatures from the shopping center owner across the street, the homeowner on the other side of the site, the people who run Farmer's Table, and more. The only opposition, there was one family I met with who did not sign, and they don't believe that anything should be built there. I understand the staff would prefer retail, but numerous retail experts and grocery stores even have told us the site doesn't work, it's below grade, traffic count is too low, the rents and demographics don't support it. Mixed-use developers said the same thing. Townhomes would work, but there's a moratorium. We've designed this storage facility to be tucked into the woods, almost invisible from the road, double the required setbacks. I will self-perform on the construction side, and we plan to own it for the rest of our lives. So we want to develop something quiet and thoughtful and built with care. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. You'd state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name's Chip Reed. I own Forster Storage in Douglasville, Villa Rica, and Bremen, 7750 Dallas Highway, Douglasville, Georgia. Been there 28 years. Not here opposing this person. I'm just here to try to enlighten the Planning and Zoning Board to please open your eyes to what's been built and approved in the city limits, right in your back door, if you still live where last time me and you met was. We're building a 100,000 square foot facility. It's 35 feet tall. It's all brick. It's within 12 feet of the back of an asphalt paved road. Again, I'm not here necessarily disapproving or against this person. I'm disapproving of the cities and the counties approving what they've been. What y'all just approved for Robbie will probably never see the light of day as far as a commercial building. If you want to use an example that I have is First Choice Storage on Highway 92 south of I-20. The exact same thing was done. The commercial part was never built. There's enough money in the storage. The commercial won't be built, more than likely, especially in that location. As far as his location goes, there's enough storage on Highway 5. the big boxes that they're doing now and requiring don't have enough drive up. They need to have more loading docks. The facility they just approved on Highway 92 at Malone Road, again, 100,000 square feet, 35 feet tall, 12 feet from the back of the curve, full brick. They have 6 loading docks for 100,000 square feet. I've been in this business a long time. Mr. Mitchell knows me from way back. What y'all are approving, what is getting approved between the Carroll County and the cities and the counties, and they're not looking at what everybody else is doing, it's getting obnoxiously ridiculous on the quantities of storage that's being approved right now, and the locations like Flat Rock Road is it's just another example of there's a lot of really bad stuff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else in opposition should state your name and address for the record.
Brian Goss, 3812 Coral Lane. He says that he went and talked to everybody and, you know, nobody opposed. People turned him down. They wouldn't sign it. You know, he says that I know he went to Harriet, one of our next door neighbor at the end of the street. She told him to come to us. We turned him down. And I know he didn't talk to the Mexican folks that live next door to us or the ones that live right up next to them. I know he didn't. I know he may have talked to the people on the other side of the street that it wouldn't touch them, but he didn't talk to us at all. I mean, I talked to him, and I told him that this is the headwaters of Bear Creek. The spring starts right behind where they're going to build this thing. There's a spring back there. It's the headwaters of Bear Creek. That's where Bear Creek starts. Goes down to the reservoir. And it's anything that comes down through there, if there's a flood, it whitecaps down through there. And it goes down through Ridgeway. And Ridgeway has flooded so many times. You know where Ridgeway, I'm pretty sure you know how they had to buy, I think, 2 properties over at Ridgeway. It flooded so bad there. We've lived there since 1977. And I know how it floods there. I know how the water comes down through there. And they build something there and it goes down through there. It's just going to take, they're going to have oil and gasoline, whatever, the residue. I'm shaking, I'm so sorry. But they're going to have tire residue, or whatever is up there. It's going to go down, right down through that hill. And it's going to go down through Ridgeway, and it's going to cut through the woods. They say that it's not going to, and he's going to make sure that they build everything perfectly to where it won't do that. But that's not true. They've turned down, a long time ago, they were going to build a nursery there. And that was turned down a long time ago. They've been wanting to build, Mr. Boggs has been trying to sell that place for a long time, been trying to build there a long time, since I can remember.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing. Planning and zoning, do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to clarify, there's a typo on the presentation. It should be S 2025-17.
Yes. Okay.
So, just to make that clear. Thank you.
Any questions, planning and zoning?
I have a quick question for the applicant, please. Hi, thank you. My question is looking at the proposed drawing that you provided of the facility itself. I noted that it was very kind of an opened entry, right? I didn't see where it was secured, meaning that there was any type of security measure put in place. So that's one thing I'd like for you to kind of address with me. Secondly, my concern also about this as well is this a climate controlled meeting? Are these individual flats and then they have units, within those flats that you're able to approach and then open up, like roll up doors type thing? And if that is the case, if that is how you have it designed, again, I'm concerned about security. And then what is your design for keeping rodents away? Because it is not within house in one big building, if you will.
Gotcha. In all of my storage experience, I've never noticed a drastic differential in terms of pest issues. If properly addressed with various treatments around the buildings between the drive-up style units and the single building climate control type units, this is going to be a mix. What I am going to do that nobody is really doing these days is drive-up climate control, which is a little more complicated to build and a little more expensive, but is very sought after, far more convenient. Nobody wants to have to go down a hallway to get to their unit if they don't have to. But there will be some of those interior units in that middle building that you see in the site plan. So it's going to be a little bit of everything.
Okay, and can you answer to the security that you
Oh,
have in
yes.
place?
Sorry about that. That rendering is very far from perfect. There is a fence connecting to the side of the building, and it was intended to also connect onto the other side of the building, and that would be where your access would stop if you did not have a keypad password.
Okay. And my question that you were talking, and the reason why I was asking about the rodents was because the individual whom was opposed to this project had mentioned the reservoir that is located near this property. And so when you're saying that you will be able to kind of help with rodents and you're able to treat that, what do you mean by treat? Would that be something that would be a liquid base that could affect the reservoir? Because with environmentalists, that's very important to us here in Douglas County. So I don't know, you being a resident of Atlanta, if knowing that, we are here in Douglas County and that we hold those reservoirs very, we like to keep them preserved. So I just wanted to ask a question, is that what is your intent with the rodent factor possibly being there, which you're next to a wooded area, which could very well be a cause. What are the precautions that you're taking by treating when you say treatment?
I wasn't envisioning anything special, but it is definitely something that we could budget for and explore if you wanted to require that as a condition. I'm well aware of how seriously your community takes the watershed protection measures that are taken, and I would be happy to incorporate an extensive eco-friendly style of doing business in this location if that sort of runoff is a concern.
Understand. And I just want to get a clarification, and my apologies if I'm kind of coming back to the security portion of this. As I'm looking here at this image that's provided, you're stating that this isn't necessarily the last, like the final answer type thing. This is an idea, or because we're basing our decision based on what we see here and the security, that's why my question comes up.
The reason that I say that is that I threw that rendering together before realizing that I have room to place these buildings deeper into the woods and therefore be less of a sort of drive-by sort of a roadside visibility thing that I seem to get pushback from in a lot of neighborhoods.
I understand. I think that the biggest concern is that, and why I'm mentioning about you having some form of security, is that while this may be very open and accessible, which is your, the idea of it, like the pull-up, the drive-by type thing, is that while our residents will be purchasing these rental or these storage facilities from you, and they're putting the things that they consider valuable to themselves because they're storing it, right? And it could be antiques, family looms, things of that nature. And if you don't have anything designed as far as type of security, then those are very vulnerable, right? So that's why I really want to make sure I understand what you have in place for that.
Okay. The entire facility will be completely enclosed with a state-of-the-art gate system.
Yeah.
You will not be able to get back in there without going through that.
I understand.
There will be a number of drive-up units, but even in high-income areas, those are the units that fill up quickly. And I have built facilities that are a mix of both, and I always notice how much more in demand those drive-up units are because of the convenience factor. That is just my, and the entire industry's observation of what people like and where the demand is. And the reason that you're seeing a lot of modern-day self-storage facilities involving 800 units crammed into one building is because they tend to make, or at least project making, a little more money that way. This is there is enough elbow room here that we were able to spread out a little more. And it is honestly, in my opinion, as an operator, a superior product type.
And last question I have for you is, we had asked the other individuals whom were looking to do storage, what is your minimum storage fee that you're going to be charging our Douglas County residents for storage there? Like a base, kind of like a ballpark figure price for that, and then also the hours of operation that you would like to have this facility running.
Yes, right now we would be targeting anywhere from $40 for the smallest units to $130 for some of the biggest units. The hours would be subject to, I would also offer that to your team as a condition if you feel strongly about operating hours. But typically, we're looking at 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. as far as access goes, and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. as far as if there is, as far as leasing hours.
And will you have someone on resident there that's maintaining this since you live in Atlanta?
Can you ask that one more time?
Yes, so since you reside in Atlanta as the business owner, will you have someone on site there? Like, will you employ someone to manage this facility, or will there be, some of these facilities sometimes have those persons living on resident, like on the property themselves? Like, what is your intent of having it managed?
It will not be managed by a resident manager, but there will be people working on site from time to time, whether that means repairs and maintenance or leasing or both.
Very good, thank you. No further questions.
Or Curry, do we have somebody from WSA? No? Okay, that's all.
I have a question for staff. I want to, it's actually, let me just tell you exactly where it is. In the discussion, could you pull that up, please?
Yes, sir.
And the second bullet point on the discussion. However, okay, right. Yeah, so speak to us pertaining to the however.
Okay. Yes, sir. So the special use permit would entitle the entire site as it is configured now. So the entire around 21 acres, 22 acres. So the lot split, it wouldn't be, unless conditioned to this site plan, there's a possibility that it couldn't occur like this. In this presentation here, it leaves potential for a driveway connection for another business or development on that second tract. However, the special use permit would entitle the entire site, so it could develop differently, essentially.
So, are you saying that if we approve this without specifying the area, he might come in and build 2 or 3 more self-storage units on the other part of the property?
That could happen, provided that it would be under the impervious surface. That
Yeah.
could, yes, sir.
Yeah, as long as he meets the other criteria of the county.
Yes, sir.
But we need to think about this as one large piece of property, but this design is only using a piece of the property.
Yes,
So
sir.
we need to be cognizant of that if we make an approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry, Rob.
Yeah, so what other type of developments could be there?
So retail-oriented uses, personal services, restaurants. It's heavy commercial, so restaurants with drive-throughs, more of your auto-intensive commercial uses.
So it's already heavy commercial. the whole parcel is, okay, heavy commercial, and I'm still trying to understand what is the fear, the however, meaning, what is the fear that what could happen?
Yes, sir. So that, however, was just a qualifier. So the special use permit would entitle the entire property. The site plan itself proposes a lot split. However, it entitling the entire property could mean that they could develop the entire property.
So the lot split is actually going to be surveyed split, or is he just splitting it for the site plan? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be two separate parcels in the future, or just because of the site plan?
Yeah, so the site plan is proposing two separate parcels. However, we haven't received any applications for a formal lot split.
All right, applicant, can I speak to you for a minute on that? So, yeah, that however, has got me a little nervous. Are you planning on splitting this as in a survey split? Or, I noticed you
Yes.
got it split, so why are you splitting it?
Yes. The original, our first draft layout did not assume that until we discovered that the maximum, the reason for this is that the code says that the maximum area for storage is 10 acres, and this is a 20-acre site. So the civil engineer said this was the only way to, one of the only ways to show it. I do not have plans for that remaining acreage.
Yeah, I understand. But, you know, if you're going to split it, you can sell it, and someone else can come there and put something else on it. So we're not saying you, we're saying someone else. That's what the however is someone else.
And if the, it sounds like, I would be curious if the special use permit were granted, if it, I guess you've already explained, it would apply to the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it goes with the land.
Okay.
So the whole parcel would be that. If you came to us already split, then we could say, okay, this is and this is not. But because it's not split, it's one parcel, therefore it's the land, it goes with the land. The special use permit is for the entire 28 acres. So that's what the concern is. I got to check to verify that 10-acre maximum on the storage units. Is that true? I'm just trying to figure out that is true. There is a 10-acre minimum, maximum.
Yeah, so just to clarify, sorry, again, I think that this is great that you're driving into this level of detail, you know, with these applications, and we apologize if at the staff level we're confusing it. But if, what we're looking for is to determine if this is something that you would think is an approved use in this area. In terms of the minimum and maximum percentage and what can be developed, those details would be worked out at DRC. But again, Austin is correct. Much as we had the conversation with the previous mini warehouse application, if it is important for you to get the specific site plan, right? So on that one, it was the commercial plus the warehouse. You know, if it's important for you to see that, we're going to need a condition clarifying that. The same with this. If it is important for you to see it built just as it's represented in the application, we are going to need to condition that. I don't believe that's something that staff is recommending, but the detail of what can get built and how big, that's something that would get worked out through DRC. So the question is, if they split it, I think what Austin was trying to raise is the question is if they split it, because the entire thing is being entitled as one, you know, project, would they have the ability to come in and build two separate facilities? I think that was the only thing that we wanted to kind of make that clear to y'all in terms of what's going forward. The applicant has not indicated it is their intent to do that, but I think that's what he was trying to point out with this.
Okay.
Does that clarify?
Yeah, thanks for the clarity.
Apologies.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the detail as we go through DRC would work out the site-specific detail.
All right, I yield, thank you.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it over to the board for questions you folks may have.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions at this time? Any questions? Okay.
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay. Vice Chairman Alcaraz, you have the floor.
This is for the applicant. Just looking at the location of this, there's already one storage, maybe a mile and a half heading south, but heading back into the city. There's two more storage buildings or facilities within less than a mile of this. Have you noticed that there's already, because I've received some feedback because this was mislabeled as in my district.
Yes.
But I did receive some feedback in regards to concerns about so many already so close to that area.
Yes, absolutely. That was when I first started building these. I have been so paranoid about that I find myself building in very thin areas. I just opened one with very low population in Cherokee County, but there's zero competition around it. But as I have grown and matured in this industry, I have learned that that is not the defining determinant of how deep the demand really is for this product. It really is spoken for by the rents that you see in the area, which are very high, $145 for a 10 by 10, almost $200 for a 10 by 15 within that radius that you just described. And also in that ring, there are only 8.8 square feet per capita, which is below average for Metro Atlanta, because you do pick up a lot of human beings in that radius, and those couple facilities on that corridor they tend to be full. There are 30,000 people in that ring. In a 5-mile ring, which I would argue this is a 5-mile market, due to the distances that people are accustomed to driving, there is 5.6 square feet per capita, which is not only below average for Metro Atlanta, but for the entire nation, and most is older product. My partner, Dean, and I came extremely close to buying Storage Depot of Douglasville on Fairburn and could not get over how poorly it was constructed, with wood frame and drywall and that sort of thing. So those are the types of legacy operators that I would look to be improving upon.
One of the largest ones, and also the one closest to you, is a brand-new facility that they just completed, and it's quite a large facility.
That's, I don't want to disagree with what you just said, but according to the storage databases that we all rely on, and I visited the facility as well, it is 43,853 rentable square feet, which is actually very small for that group out of Santa Monica, which really surprised me. That facility is the vast majority of what they have built there is indoor, whereas I'm looking to offer something different, as well as some bigger units for businesses and other things that that group would not build because they aren't thinking outside of the box as much.
Right. But then you go just not even another mile past that to I-20, you would have yet another extremely large storage facility right there at the interstate. So it's four right there on Highway 5 already coming down that way.
I completely understand your comment, and I'm not going to disagree with what it looks like to someone outside the business, but I would again point to the very high rents that they are charging, which means that there isn't enough of it. This area has, in the 5-mile ring, there are 69,000 people. Thousands and thousands of them are apartment dwellers. About a third of them are renters, and I believe 72% of homes in the area do not have basements. So this is a very dynamic market for self-storage, and there is an above-average demand based on everything that I am observing.
Okay. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chairman. Any other remarks? Okay, I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on S 2025-17?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob Thomas. I'd like to make a motion on S 2025-17. I recommend approval with conditions written by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Not hearing a second, the motion dies for lack of a second. Do I have another motion? Planning and zoning, do I have a motion?
This is Frank Payne. I make a motion to deny S 2025-17, a request for a special use permit to allow self-storage facility located on Highway 5.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Melissa Polk, I second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion, planning and zoning? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote to deny S 2025-17. All in favor of the denial, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? It's 4-2 for denial. Madam Chairman, S 2025-17 comes to the board with a recommendation for denial.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny 2025-17.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay. We have a 3-0 vote, and the motion carries to
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
deny.
Mr. Cronin, you have our next agenda item, please.
Yes, sir. So our next agenda item is a special use permit to allow a personal care home at 7016 Skyline Drive. The lot size is half an acre. This is in Commission District Number 1. From available appraisal department data, the dwelling currently cited has 1,693 heated square feet. It was built in 1971. The dwelling has 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths. The site is a corner lot fronting both Skyline Drive and Blue Sky Way. So the personal care home proposed is for individuals who are developmentally disabled. They will be monitored by the Georgia Department of Community Health with funding from the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Developmental Disabilities, who has its own set of regulations. Ages of patients range and are to be determined on an assessment of need basis per the community information meeting on February 11th. We're taking a look at the relevant code sections. So the proposed use will not alter the principal character of the use as a single-family residence and will operate as accessory only. The Unified Development Code controls that the applicant is a full-time resident of the facility, so the property will be owner-occupied. Owner occupancy status might limit the amount of individuals available under care, given the rules and regulations of the Department for Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities as it relates to resident crowding and accommodations for bed, closet, and wardrobe, and the requirements of the standards for a bedroom and floor plan arrangement. The proposed use might involve residents who might have visitors, so limiting the storage of vehicles on the property could mitigate the intensity of scale of the use of the property. So it would ensure that the residential character of the exterior is maintained. So we've taken a look at the special use criteria. It's zoned residential low density, and it's on a corner lot. Here's a site survey from an older neighborhood. This is in the urban residential feature land use and the traditional neighborhood character area. Staff's recommending approval with conditions based upon the findings that the use will not modify the comprehensive plan or the intent, purpose, or spirit of the UDC, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. And the conditions are that the applicant shall submit to the Development Review Committee adequate plans to address the agency impact statements included within the staff report, as well as additional requirements under the relevant governing codes of those departments. All required improvements shall be made prior to the issuance of an occupational tax certification. Prior to the issuance of an occupational tax certificate, the applicant must provide proof of permit issued by the relevant governing departments of the state of Georgia. And a maximum of 2 vehicles shall be parked outside of the home at any given time. On-street parking is strictly prohibited. This condition is applicable to all residents and visitors. There shall be no more than 2 unrelated individuals allowed to occupy a single bedroom, and the property shall be used as owner-occupied single-family residence and a personal care home only. Any other use shall be presented before the Board of Commissioners for review and approval. So this expressly controls tenancy status. For instance, if the applicant were to enter into a landlord leaseholder agreement. And that ends my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions as they come.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cronin. This time I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant, that would wish to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. You'd state your name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Gazy. I am the special use permit applicant for the address 7016 Skyline Drive in Lithia Springs. So this application is made for a permit to operate a family personal care home to host individuals with developmental disabilities under the DCH and the DBHDD. I would like to state that it will be owner occupied, and to the DBHDD, which is the Department of Developmental. The DBHD, which is the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, allow for a maximum of 4 individuals in each home. And 3, there is a case study and assessment for each individual, and the host home has the prerogative to actually accept or deny each case that's given to them. For the fundamental and principal nature of the dwelling will not change, and the individuals are not authorized to drive, and they will have no cars. 6, the caregivers will be the only authorized drivers of the care home, and also due to that, we expect little to no impact on the traffic flow at that location. I would say that the house is a 4-bedroom house. For the DBHDD, each individual needs their own room, so you can't go beyond the number. So the anticipated use of the home would be for 2 individuals because it's a 4-bedroom house and it's also owner occupied. We also understand that this is the initial stage in the process of acquiring the county permit, and there are other requirements that need to be met, for example, the fire inspection, environmental inspection, and any other requirements that the county requires of us. And
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. If you'd state your name and address for the application, and then 2 minutes.
My name is Charity Akpagana, 2698 Abbey Brook, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. Let's look at a personal care home. Personal care home, the main goal of a personal care home is to enhance the activity of daily living for our seniors. As you all ages, we tend to lose some of our skills, like brushing our teeth, toileting, doing all other things that we do that make us happy. We tend to lose them. So with the personal home care, it is there to help our seniors to be able to improve upon their skills. That way, they also feel part of the community. They are happy when they do things for themselves. That makes them age and age well before they pass away. And talking about traffic, most often, they are always at home. Although their family comes to visit, they hardly come to visit. But all other caregivers, those I know, all other licensed caregivers, they do their best to take care of the seniors. Even though their loved ones don't show up, they do their best to take care of them. So with this, there is always, when you come to the community, there's always, there's no chaos, the place is quiet, you don't even see traffic, you don't even know anybody's there if you don't come out of the house. So personal care home is a very good place for our seniors to live as compared to nursing home. I've worked in the nursing home, I know how it is, but if you compare that one to personal care home, the advantage is far, far better of being in the nursing home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium. If you'd state your name and address in 2 minutes, please.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Gertrude Mason. I am a consultant in this business. I've been doing the service industry since 2013, and I highly recommend that this be approved, only because I'm going to piggyback off the last speaker. This is a need that is arising from COVID-19. Most people left the nursing home facilities into a smaller, much smaller spaces, and that's where the need really arose. We are constantly recruiting for people to actually be in this field. It's an amazing opportunity to assist people, and I particularly do like the population where Andrew Gazy is actually looking into, which is individuals with disabilities, and intellectual disabilities, behavioral disabilities, and so on. One person per room. It's not crowded. We barely ever have any visitors in the room, only because of sensitivity issues. If families do want to visit, we do take the clients to adult day centers where those visits could be scheduled. So it's very little traffic. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Gilbert Apagana, 2698 Abbey Brook. Yeah, I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of you for putting this thing together. That it is not something that somebody wanted to use or make a personal home care, then the person will jump in, but you put system in place for the community to be safe, for the people, the residents to be safe, and even the applicant also to comply with the rules and regulations. So I would like to propose or speak in favor that this special permit should be granted so that all the rules and regulations governing this, I know this is just the preliminary stage, and there are rules and regulations governing it. There's going to be fire and other system that they will see to it that the person meets the requirement before the person will be issued the license to operate. So I propose that, I'm speaking in favor that when the special permit use is given to the applicant, you will make sure that the rules and regulations have been followed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close. Before we go, Ms. Gazette, would you please come to the podium, please, the applicant? When they made the presentation, there were 5 conditions. Should this be approved? Are you in agreement with those 5 conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just needed that on the record. Okay, I'll close the
So there was one thing I read about the conditions. Usually you need to get a county permit before you can go to the state. So the state relies on the county's permit. So you can get a proof of permit from the state without having the county's permit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that,
There was a change. They do understand that some counties have changed that policy whereby it's just a little, either a receipt of payment for it without issuing the permit or the business license, or just a statement stating that the county.
Ma'am, can you please come to the mic, please?
Okay. We
I'm
can't.
sorry.
No, you're okay.
That was in the past. However, recently, DCH does understand that most counties are now not issuing business license for this particular business. They will just accept either a receipt or a statement stating they only issue business license after DCH license is issued. So either or.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
But okay. The conditions are a matter of record in a report anyway, so. Okay, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. You two would also have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. You'd state your name and address for the record, sir. Then 2 minutes.
My name is Stephen Gay. I live at 6982 Skyline Drive. My family was the first occupants on the Circle. We've been there since 1971. And for the record, the house was not built in 71, it was built in 72. Plus, you're gonna have more cars going in and out because the state's gonna be coming in to check on the property. You'll have maintenance work done there. I'm sorry. And I'm opposed to it, and just about everybody who lives around me has been there for years.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anyone else speaking in opposition? Hi,
My
name and
name's
address.
Wendy Allen. I am representing my parents who live at 7004 Skyline Drive. They're at the house that it's directly behind the house. Their backyard, it butts up to the side. There's several concerns here. We don't know exactly the level of severity of disability we're dealing with. There's no true board-on-board security fence between the properties, leaving my parents wide open to, you know, a breach of property. And we have several questions to ask. Safety measures. Is the staff have implemented procedures to protect residents in the community? Do they have a business strategic plan? Specific services provided by the facility, what are they? And, excuse me. And processes for addressing concerns of the neighbors, what level of staff training required for caregivers, numbers of staff during the day, during the evening. And their neighborhood, they have septic tank, they don't have sewage. So however many people are in that house, because I know this past summer when I was cutting grass, I could smell raw sewage coming out of the backyard. And I asked my parents, did they get it fixed? And she says, I don't know, it's winter, didn't smell now. But they may need to increase the sewage size of the container that it goes in. And what's the impact on the property values? So, I mean, we would recommend a denial, obviously, until we can get more answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? If you'd state your name and address for the record, sir, in 2 minutes.
My name's Stephen Allen. I am the second favorite son-in-law of the Morrises who live in 7004 Skyline Drive. My current residence is 1013 Hill Court, Conway, South Carolina. I do visit the residence on occasion with my wife to see our in-laws. I have significant concerns as well. Number one, most of the people who live in this neighborhood are very elderly and have difficulty getting around and have some of the dementia-related paranoias and everything else that go on. So that poses confusion to them, what's going on, and possibly the residents of this home. The other thing I know about this home, and I'm going to reiterate a few things my wife said, is this home was built in 1971, 72, so 54, 55 years ago, approximately. Has anybody inspected the upkeep and the maintenance of this home to make sure it is able to keep the residents that are going to be in this home safe? And also to help the other neighbors around it, because neighbors do like to help each other in that neighborhood very much. That area is prone to some minor flooding. And as my wife said, on 3 occasions that I know of, I have smelt the sewage, and this is over the last few years, not this last summer, but I've smelt the sewage where there's a possible septic system problem and so forth. So I would question whether the home is adequate to do what they're going to do. I do understand their need, I really do. I'm retired out of the healthcare community, and I do understand the compassion and the altruistic need to try and take care of other patients. But this may not be the way that's both safe for the patient and safe for the community. And I'll reiterate too, what is this going to do with homes in the neighborhood that are all greater than 50 years old and their property values on elderly people who may want to sell them in the near future?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening. My name is Peter Angelov. I live at 6991 Skyline Drive. And I just want to point a couple things out before I start, that everyone speaking in opposition, our addresses are all Skyline Drive or Skyview Drive. We're all neighborhood folks. We all lived there for a few years plus, and everyone that spoke before us in support of the permit hasn't even lived there yet. The applicant himself has owned the house since 2023, and the first thing he did with it was rent it out, which was unsuccessful, as he told us in the last meeting. And unfortunately, the first time we've met him was at the first meeting we had for this permit, the informational meeting. I think none of us think that this is a bad idea as far as taking care of people with needs and providing a service to those folks. That's great. We just think that this use case scenario at the back of a small old neighborhood with people who have concerns against it is maybe not the best way to go about it. Maybe if he wants to live in the house for a while first, we would all welcome him and his wife into the neighborhood with open arms. But to just go into the house and start trying to do this right off the bat when the only other thing they've done in it is try to rent it, and that didn't work out. You know, besides all the concerns that everyone else brought up with the houses being old and, you know, sewage and fencing and security and fire and all that other stuff is, I think, just something to be taken into account. So,
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hi, mine's gonna be very quick.
If you'd state your name and address in the microphone.
Tara Tafoya, 3400 Blue Skyway. I'm directly across the street from this house, and my biggest concern is I have a 6-year-old and I have a 12-year-old who play out in the yard all day long. And I'm concerned with the behavioral disabilities. I'm concerned about my children's safety playing out in the yard all day long. I mean, and there's some more kids down the road, a lot of elderly people, but my concern is butted directly across my children playing outside all day in the summer and, you know, when it's warm in the winter. So that's my issue.
Okay.
Thank
you very much for your comments. Anyone else speak in opposition?
Hello, my name is Brian White. Address is 6977 Skyline Drive. Been in the community about 4 years now. Moved here from Las Vegas. Kind of echoing what Peter said earlier. Mr. Gazy hasn't lived in the neighborhood yet. And that does concern us. We built up a community. We walk our dogs. Me and Peter are one of the youngers, but we help out with the elderlies. We help them repair their cars, or if we need to cut their grass or whatever we need to do. And like I said, there hasn't been a community from this house. It's just been either vacant or is rented. So anyways, like I said, I'm opposed to it because there hasn't been any community, and I don't see the benefit of this particular house for these special needs people. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing. Planning and zoning, do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff?
Mr. Brandon Vanderman, I got some questions for the applicant. I'd also like to speak to the applicant's consultant as well, if she's available. You can stay up here too.
Okay.
So both of you guys probably be good to answer these questions. All right, so first thing is, could you expound upon and make it super layman's term for everybody here, what falls in the purview of developmentally disabled? We're all trying to figure out what does that mean, right? Because there's a couple of schools of thought, I'm sure, that maybe these could be possible people that have gone insane, or are these seniors, or who are the people that you're targeting as clients that will actually live in this house?
Okay, so based on the Department of Behavioral Health, individuals with developmentally disability is actually from infancy, really. However, for this purpose of personal care out of the homes, it does begin from 21 years of age. Most of these individually are wheelchair bound, quadriplegic. They're not able to function on their own for the most part, either bedridden, bedbound, not verbal. What else? They will need assistance with diapering, showers, is a range of things. If I do say behavioral, it's not us or this particular client or this particular home housing individuals with behavioral issues. It is a part of the population where DCH or Department of Behavioral Health does care for. It is up to the client, it's up to the business owner to accept or deny or decline any services for anybody. So with them, they're mostly focused on individual with disability, and that is mostly wheelchair bound or unable to communicate either intellectually or verbally.
Okay,
They're
now,
just not there 100%.
does mental disorders fall into that category? I know you said
No.
that at the end of the day, you guys get to choose
Yes,
who the
it
people are
does not.
anyways, but do mental disorders fall in
It
that?
does not.
Schizophrenia, things
no,
like
it
that?
does not. Nobody with psychotropic medications. It does
Okay.
not.
Okay, good to know. Okay, second question was, number of clients, of course. You said that the regulation is that each client must have their own room.
Correct.
So, I believe I heard you say that there will only be 2. Is that because you guys will be staying in the other 2 rooms, or somebody will be occupying, the owner will be occupying the other 2 rooms?
Exactly. So my wife and myself, will be using the 2 rooms, and the other 2 rooms will be used for the disabled people.
Okay, and will you predominantly be there, or will it just be your wife?
No, I will be there. Will be unoccupied. My wife and myself will be there, and we also do have a baby. She's seated at the back there. Yeah.
Hey.
So
Hey, hey.
we are not looking to have people that have, that need too much care or a higher level of care.
Okay, now, for you, I just want to know, give me a little bit of your background, what interests you in getting involved in this. And the reason I ask that is because I kind of want to know what type of person would be interested in this type of activity, and is it just spur of the moment, or is this something that you've had a dream of, or give me your heart behind it. Why?
Okay, so a little about my background is I currently work in the civilian world as a cybersecurity analyst. I work also as an Air Force reservist. So I bought this house in 2023, and just when I bought it to move in, I was drafted for deployment, so I had to leave and then have someone come in. So by the time I return, their lease will be over, so I can move into the house with my family. I got back from deployment, and then his lease was supposed to end in November 2024, sorry. So when I got back, he has a family too. Apparently, he has a kid that's autistic, and when I told him his time was up to move, he actually told me, hey, this is a very good place for me. My child is autistic. Give me some time to move out. So I had to, and looking at what I want to do personally, knowing that, knowing that disabled people, like I'm termed disabled because of my blood issues, so I have that kind of feeling I could go in for maybe seniors, but I am more concerned about people who lack that kind of care in the society. People don't really have, people who lack the love they need, even from their families, because these people technically they are not accepted by families. So the DBHDD has created this community living arrangement for them to live in homes that can welcome them into a family setting. And that's the reason why this whole program was set up by the DBHDD and DCH.
So just for clarity's sake, you have an affinity for this because you have some disabilities that you've dealt with yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also my wife is a registered nurse. She's worked in the nursing home all her career, so that's why we came together, and then we said we wanted to do this to help the society.
Beautiful. That's great background information to make some clarity on why you haven't been at the house. Last question. Does the state or DBHDD, did I say that right? DBHDD?
Yeah, DBHDD.
Do they regulate the upkeep of the property, right? Considering that the property was made in 71, do they come in and make you have certain regulations on where the standards of the property have to be before you can move these people in?
Yes, they regulate it to the T. They are even they are stricter than the DCH because they have other layers of regulations besides the DCH, and they are going to come in to inspect the home before they actually give you the permit to operate.
Got you. Last question. In regards to the comments with the sewage, have you guys had septic issues, or what do you have any response to the issues that are arising as far as the sewage or the smell of the sewage?
We haven't had any sewage issue. The only I don't know when they experienced that, but there was a sewage service, I believe, earlier this year to actually collect the sewage, just to service the sewage. And then also before I left for deployment, I had made this application to the environmental department. They asked for someone to come inspect the sewage, and then they did all of that. So that was done already before I left. But when I came back, and then they didn't have an issue with, the use of the sewage or how good it is. When I came back and I decided to go back to the process where I left off, they told me this was all in place and I had to restart everything. So we haven't had any issues with the sewage. Maybe the smell they had was when they were when the sewage service company was actually there to take out the sewage in the tank, in the septic.
Okay, that'll do it for my questions. I want to thank you for your service to our military as well.
Thank you.
It's Rob Thomas. I have a question, a couple of questions. Well, let me start with saying this. You have a very compelling story, and you definitely clarified some things for me just about the questions that he asked. It seems to me that, well, first of all, I'm going to say this. I'm a big proponent of owners' property rights. That's what I do for a living, and I'm a big proponent for that. However, also another variable in the equation is public sentiment.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a balance. Property rights, public sentiment, we got to have them kind of mesh and merge together and make a decision.
Yeah.
Based on that statement, I will just ask you, would you consider tabling this until our next planning and zoning meeting, April 1st, and get you opportunity to meet your neighbors? I know he's on deployment. I guess they didn't know that. See, things like that, they had no idea. They thought you was renting and it didn't work out. Well, it did work out, just that you clarified what happened. So my point is, and we say this with everybody, even with Airbnb, tell your neighbors what's going on, because we need that public sentiment or understanding. Another thing you clarified was the type of disability that that you can accept or decline. So even that level will, if they're bedridden or wheelchair, then the fear of somebody getting out and chasing the kids around, which is legitimate, is subsided in a way, because wheelchair chasing around. I mean, it's just clarification so people understand what's really going on.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of gaps a lot of gaps was filled in your story based on just a few questions that you just brought up.
Yes.
Okay, because nobody didn't know nothing about you leaving and coming back, and so.
Yes.
The sewer, the septic tank. So I think you should consider reaching out to your neighbors, even if it's approved today. Still, let them know exactly what's going on. They said never met you, don't even know you per se. And this is a well-established neighborhood. So there again, that balance, public sentiment, personal property rights is a mix, but we have to make a decision based on those two variables. Okay.
I understand you, and if I can add to what you're saying, so when I got back from deployment, I actually wrote letters to my immediate neighbors, those on the left, right, and across the street, to kind of let them know their intention. And also, I left my contact for any of them to, to let me know if there are any questions they have, right? And beyond that, when we met for the public hearing, I also, they had these same concerns, and I also explained to them, about what the use was going to be for, and also kind of, help them understand what it's about. Maybe I might not have been able to talk to everybody in the neighborhood, but I actually made sure that those who are immediately close by, just on my left and right, and also across the street, and even some houses down across the street, I also actually wrote to them.
Okay, well, let's put yourself in their position. If you in an established neighborhood, your parents been in there, and your parents' parents, or what have you, and this is coming and disrupting in their perspective. So I just want to just encourage that you let them know what's going on in more specifics, like you did here.
Okay.
And I yield with that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, planning and zoning?
Yes, I have a question to ask you in regard to this particular type of business. So I understand that your wife is a registered nurse, which is wonderful, and I appreciate your service to the care. But I want to say that it's a different. Have you shadowed anyone in this particular business, meaning have you been a part of this business before? So is this your very first time organizing this type of care in a home setting? And secondly, again, have you kind of shadowed or went in to view how to run this type of care from a homebound type of situation? Because being a registered nurse, of course, that does qualify you for providing medical care to these individuals. But my question to you is that working in a hospital that's already established, a health system, is one thing. Bringing this care to a home is another thing, and I can understand the concerns from your neighbors, right? So my question to you is, can you clarify whether or not you've had this type of business before? And if you have not, have you shadowed in how to organize this type of care so you can settle the minds of your neighbors of, yes, I have considered the fact of security. Yes, I have considered the fact of needing a fence in the event that those that I am choose to take on are able to walk about freely. Like, have you done that research?
Yes, I have. I haven't shadowed anyone yet, but I have done the research, and that's why I came in today with my consultant. She's basically my sister. Mm-hmm. She has an agency that does this for a lot of homes, and she's more like the right-hand man, and she's going to hold my hand through the process. That's for the administration of the business, and also beyond that, I still believe that my wife also, with the kind of exposure she's had in the nursing home, can also help do that. And beyond that, it's even though it's going to be owner-occupied because we live there, but if we need the help, and like I'm saying, the level of care is from this category 1 to 7. Mm-hmm. You could have people that need less care, those who go to adult day centers, those who go to work during the day and come back during the night. Mm-hmm. So all you're doing is actually giving them medication, or you are actually providing food, cooking for them, doing laundry, driving them to their appointments, and all of that. Mm-hmm. So is the level, from what you're saying, is the level of care. If you have a very serious case, for example, if you have a son or a daughter that lives with that kind of condition, you depending on how much care the person needs, that's the kind of care you're going to provide for the person. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at doing something that does not require that much of care in terms of what they need, whether they are high up the ladder or they are low, and they just need minimal supervision.
So I don't really think that the care that you're talking, what I'm trying to get a point across is that I want to know, have you considered like the trafficking that they're concerned about, right? And with those individuals being there in the event the state comes, in the event that they need to go by ambulance, all those things, the trafficking, have you considered that? Because this is their concerns. Like, that is why they're here, that they want to make sure that their residence stays, as the gentleman, Mr. Thomas has stated, in its comfort zone, right? And so while we commend what you're doing, we just want to make sure that you have considered this as this being the first time you've done this.
Sure, I have. That's why I said earlier on that the property is a 4-bedroom house. You can have, I intend living in a house with my family. So there's only going to be 2 rooms available for the disabled. And these 2 people do not share rooms. So the maximum number of people that are going to be in the house is 2 disabled people. These people are directly under our care. We are driving them to all. They don't. So in terms of traffic, it's just like me or my wife driving them to the appointments. When it comes to state visits, these are scheduled visits.
Okay.
And the state does not,
Once a year.
Okay.
Once a year.
Basically, the state does conduct surveys just once a year. The only time to come more than once is if there's a concern, a report, or something that's just not right with the home, but they rarely do show up, and it's scheduled.
Thank you.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? Now I'll throw it over to Madam Chair for any questions the commissioners may have.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I'm sorry, Chairman Simmons. I'm sleepy a little bit. I apologize. Any questions, Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
And this probably is for Allison, but I'll get with the applicant as well, though. Allison. Yeah. So the state, let's be clear about the state role in all of this. Even though we may say yes, but the state will come in and could make the adjustments of, are the rooms large enough? Are they equipped to do what they're trying to do and so on, correct? So help us to all understand that part of it first.
Right, so the way we think of it when it comes to things like personal care homes or in-home daycare or things like that, there usually is a state agency that's going to see the human services aspect of this, right? That's not what we are equipped to do in the planning and zoning department or, here in front of this board. You're being asked to consider the land use and if the land use is important. And although I think the questions have been helpful in clarifying all of the considerations of the care of the individuals, that is something that gets delegated to the state. Now, we do have the authority under the building codes and the life safety codes to require certain improvements. So, for example, when these uses have transitioned, the fire marshal is typically going to come in and require a sprinkler system will have to be installed because they are caring for vulnerable populations. The building department is going to be looking to make sure that it meets the codes for the structure type. So no longer is it a single-family detached private residential home, it's going to have sort of a quasi-commercial use in it, so they're going to have to meet the appropriate building codes. There was a question about the septic. So again, environmental health is going to have to certify that the septic is in good working order for the number of bedrooms if they're changing that. So that's where our purview really lies, is with the land use and with the structure, and then the human services component is going to be something that we would defer to the state.
Got it. And speaking of that, that's what you kind of led me right into that with the septic and the sewer side of this. There are still codes and things that they'll have to kind of come through us. Meaning, if there was a septic situation over there, some outside of the residents would have been notified, or even if they came to not just pump it, but if they had to run a new field line of some sort.
Sure. So the Environmental Health Department is actually a state agency. They are housed here in the courthouse through Cobb Douglas Public Health, but it is a state agency. So there's a couple of different triggers where they may have to go through environmental health review. So for the occupational tax, environmental health has to sign off on every occupational tax license that comes through. If they require a field inspection, that is something that the applicant is going to have to complete before we can grant the occupational tax license. Also, if there is a complaint that's received through code enforcement or through environmental health, they will go out in the field and they will investigate complaints.
Correct, right, yeah. And I just wanted to kind of, I just wanted to be stated, more for the record than anything. Okay, thank you, Allison, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the applicant, I guess. Can you explain to the board your staffing? Right now, I'm assuming it's just you and your wife and the kid. I mean, okay. But that's your staffing.
Correct. So currently, it's like I'm saying, we're looking at just doing 2 individuals. We are also allowed to, assess case by case in terms of the individuals that are coming to us. If we do have any individual, and then we believe that we need extra hand in care, we are actually going to employ additional hand.
So
But
in
currently,
doing,
it's just myself and my wife providing the health care, and I providing the kind of the administrative stuff in terms of driving them and doing groceries and all of that.
but if your staff, 4 rooms, I'm hearing correctly, and you're only talking about using 2 for, okay, for your potential clients.
Yes.
And I'm assuming your wife, I'm assuming the other room before the little one.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Just trying to get the math together. Okay, got it. Okay, and as was asked, what is your business plan in all of this? Or do you have one, other than just getting the 2 individuals that you trying to, that you accept from the state?
So from my background, like Brandon asked me, I'm in the IT industry. This, even though it's considered as a business in its essence, it's something that my wife and I have decided to do to help those who are disabled.
Okay.
We do not, and I believe this is also like a preliminary stage of this whole process. Mrs. Mason has already, she's told me a lot of things, but because this is like the first step towards, getting stuff done, I just wanted to have this done. And then once that's done, there are rules and regulations, there are policies and procedures you need to put in place and all of that before the state approves you to do it. So once that's done, once this is done, I'll get back to her, and then we move forward with all of the detailed stuff that needs to be done.
And what's your security plan? Whether it's cameras or
yes, so the state
armed guard or
ensures all
something,
of that.
I mean,
yes, the state ensures all of that in the home. They also need an alarm system that if anyone opens the door, you are able to tell that someone has opened the door. The alarm goes off. So if it's you, if the caregiver has no idea of who is opening the door, the alarm will sound off for you to know. The alarm within the home will sound off for you to know.
and that's what you're going to have in the home?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's going to be a system in place, a security system in place.
Is that in place now? Or if this passes, then you're going to start working on that?
That's correct.
And Allison, is that something that's required by us, or is that something that the applicant just decides to do or not do?
No, sir. The home security system is not a requirement under the Unified Development Code or the Building Code. That would be something that would be up to the applicant unless you made it somehow a condition of any sort of approval.
Got it. Because it sounded to me like that's what he's going to do. I don't know if he wants to even say it.
Actually, told DCH also requires that you do that.
Oh, they require it. Okay, so the state requires it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All righty. Thank you again. Appreciate it. And I'll yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, any other questions? I just have a few for, I believe we have a registered nurse in here. Yeah. Oh, she's in the, oh, okay, she's with the baby. I'll speak to. Hello, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, good. I just had a question for you regarding, number one, the square footage of the house. Do you have an idea what the square footage is?
Honestly, I'll talk to my husband about it.
Any square footage, and then I'm leading into some clinical related questions next. So I'll ask that after we finish. Certainly I heard as we were speaking, personal home health care, or should I say care, is an excellent best practice, and I think it's great for those who are aging in place. But however, behavioral health is on a total different dynamic. So I just want to speak a little bit about that. My background is healthcare. Had the privilege and opportunity to serve prior to being elected on the DBHDD board for the Board of Commissioners that were in place prior to me being elected in 2017. But I just have a question for you. I had an opportunity to just research as we were speaking, and it says that behavioral health includes, it has some conditions that come with behavioral health. I know it's just not just regular things that are like comorbidities in a patient that's just not mobile. If you could just help me understand just something quickly, I would greatly appreciate it. If you could agree, it says, what does behavioral health includes? And I'm just trying to make sure. It says mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety, substance use disorders such as gambling, addiction, and eating disorders, suicidal thoughts or suicide attempts, stressful life events and crisis, stress-related physical symptoms, obesity, and autism. So those patients, me and you know, are totally different than a patient or a client with just regular comorbidity problems or just seniors. I did hear that the clients could start as early as 21 years old. Is that, and I don't consider 21 years old eligible for a nursing home. So if you could explain to us about these behaviors.
Correct. So behavioral health starts, as you mentioned, it has different varieties. It can be depression, it can be bipolar, it can be eating disorders, schizophrenia, among others. So you said you don't believe in 21 years old being in...
No. I just said...
Okay.
I just heard 21. They may go to the nursing home. I may be completely off if you could explain that to us.
Right. So in a case where people who are young, 21 years old, they can't care for themselves, they may be put in these homes for people who are qualified to care for them. Some of them don't have families, or some of them, their families have been they have been disowned by families. So when you put them in care of people who can take care of them, who are licensed, then they're actually receiving the care that they were supposed to get from families that they are not getting. So with people that are young, you can actually have them in homes as well, like in care homes, if not, because we can't have all of them they have to be like available homes to these people. We can't have, and I feel, in my opinion, I think having homes that are tailored to individual care is much more good than having them all crammed, because in my nursing field, I have worked in long-term care, and sometimes the number of people in the long-term care with the number of providers that are working for them are not enough. So in the sense where you're having someone who is having a one-on-one care in a case, or even 2-to-1, they are going to receive a high-quality care compared to someone who is in a home that houses about 100 or 200 people. With this, these people are like, you can have tailored individual care. So you are actually giving them care that is individualized. And as I was saying, some of them too don't do well in large groups. So small groups are okay for them. Some of them don't thrive in large groups. So having small groups, it's okay for them. And for us to start this business, it's going to be like a beginning step in the right direction. This is going to be the first home that we have doing this. And based off everything that we are going to start doing, that is what is going to equip us and give us more knowledge into this. We learn as we go. Even it will give us more knowledge into what we are about to start. And yeah, I don't know.
And also, these patients, I believe I heard with clients, will be in wheelchairs, correct? Are the rooms ADA compliant to allow I just want to make sure, space? You may have potentially some oxygen machines, some ventilators. It sounds like these.
Yeah, it depends on the people we are actually going to accept. So if you're accepting someone who is going to be wheelchair bound, then definitely our place will be accessible for wheelchairs. But if we are not taking people who are not going to be wheelchair bound, but for now, I think we've made our place in such a way that we are able to take on people who are wheelchair bound as well.
Do you have ramps on the front porch?
Yes, we do. We have it. Yeah.
You have ramps.
Yeah.
That's ADA compliant. Okay. Thank you so much. If we could have the staff, Austin, if you could tell me what's the square footage of this house?
Yes, ma'am. Let me go back to that screen really quickly. Sorry about that. 1,693 heated square feet.
1,000. What per, like bedroom, what size? You have an idea what those bedrooms are like?
No, I don't have that figure for you, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, but the total house is 1,000.
1,693, yes, ma'am.
693, okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you very much,
Chairman
Madam
Simmons.
Chairman. Planning and Zoning Board. See, I believe Mr. Thomas had a statement.
Oh, just before I make a motion, just based on the fact that you have a toddler, you need to come up. Just the fact you have a toddler gives you a little more solace. The fact that what type of clients you're going to get, or you're going to accept. I mean, you're not going to put her in danger, or you're going to be more restrictive as to who you're going to have in your house. So I know some of the fear was somebody getting out and terrorizing the neighborhood, but nevertheless, that just gives me a little more calm and as far as the fact that you have a child in the home as well. So that's my little comment I wanted to make.
Okay, Planning and Zoning, do I have a motion on S 2025-18?
It's Rob Thomas. I'd like to make a motion to approve S 2025-18, request a special use permit to allow for personal care home located at 7016 Skyline Drive, with all the conditions read in by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-18 with the conditions read into the record, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Thank you very much. Madam Chairman, S 2025-18 comes to you with a recommendation for approval with conditions that were read into the record.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Okay. Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we put this on the table just long enough so I get some further information and really make an educated decision on this. So I'd like to put this in a motion to be tabled to our next meeting, April 1st.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor for tabling, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 3-0 vote, and the motion carries to table. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman
Thank you
Simmons.
very much, Madam Chairman. We'll
To
see
April
y'all
1st, I'm sorry.
again on April 1st. Next
Meet-
agenda
meet your
item-
neighbors.
Next agenda item, please. I guess we might ought to give it a minute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If we could limit our conversation, we have other agenda items. Just take your conversation outside, please. Okay, if we could go ahead and take that conversation out in the hall, please. We have other agenda items. Okay, Ms. Duncan, I think you're cleared.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is our last item on the agenda tonight. This is a request for special use permit for a short-term rental. This is located at 2948 Legion Lake Road. This is a 5-acre lot located in Commission District Number 2. The subject property is on a cul-de-sac at the end of Legion Lake Road. This includes a single-family home. The home is 4,672 square feet. Again, the applicant is proposing the use of the principal dwelling as a short-term rental unit. Here are the relevant code sections. Again, as we had said previously, it's on a 5-acre lot. The home is set approximately 246 feet from the rear property line and was built in 1966. So we have analyzed the special use permit criteria. We have found this use to be substantially compatible with the criteria in the code. Here is an aerial view of the property with the zoning layer turned on. It shows the floodplain there to the rear of the property. That's what you see in the blue and the red to the rear of the property. And here's an aerial image showing the house in relation to the floodplain. One thing you may also note is that it is located on a cul-de-sac, and off of that cul-de-sac it does share a driveway with an adjacent property. Here is a plat of the property. And again, this is located in the suburban live-in future land use category and the traditional neighborhoods character area. And so staff is recommending approval with the special use permit for the short-term rental, given that our findings are it will not substantially modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Unified Development Code, nor will it negatively impact surrounding properties, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect public health, safety, and welfare. That concludes my presentation, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicants, would like to speak in favor, please approach the podium. 2 minutes per person. Allocated time, 15 minutes. Is the applicant in the house? Okay. You're fine? Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the in favor and open the opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Again, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and zoning, do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff?
Quick question for staff. Is this something that's been going on prior and y'all found out about it and then asked us to go, or asked them to come in for the permit?
That is correct. You may recall that in August we changed our third-party monitoring company that monitors the short-term rentals. So it was August of last year. Since that time, we have been getting up to speed. Melody has taken on this project when she started with us in November, so she is sending letters out to those sites that have been identified as having active short-term rentals, telling them that if they choose to continue the use, they're going to need to file a special use permit and come into compliance. So we have identified approximately 90 active rentals at this time, and I think we have about 18 approved special use permits, 14 approved special use permits for short-term rentals in Douglas County.
Wow. Okay. Brick, this isn't the time for just comments, right? This is more for just questioning. Comments will come on the back end. Okay, that'll do it for me. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board?
I have a question for the applicant.
Okay. If you'd state your name and address for the record first.
My name is Sarah Drew, and I live at 5261 Hamhurst Drive, 30092.
Yes, the question is, I know it's a shared drive. Is it gate?
No gate, no.
So this is a shared drive that you have with another resident?
With another neighbor, yes.
A neighbor?
He's aware of the short-term rental. I spoke to him. He even helped me to put the sign up for the zoning. And I spoke to him, and it doesn't have any issues with it. He has my number, and he can call me 24/7 for anything. Yeah.
I know there was
He's good with, with it.
So I know that based on that area, there's not that many homes in that area. What about the neighbor to the opposite side? I know some distance.
Yeah. I don't know them yet.
Okay.
But the land is so big.
Yes.
I even asked that neighbor that we share the driveway if he has any complaints about the noises. And he's like, I don't hear anything, nothing. He was very cool with it, he was very good about it.
No further questions.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning?
Yes, I have questions. Is anyone living in the house presently?
No. This house was purchased especially for a short-term rental. Nobody has lived there. I manage 20 properties, but this is the only one in Douglasville. So,
Okay, how about security?
Security, we have cameras, but we do a good job when we talk to the guests, the people that inquire for the house. We ask questions, what is the purpose of your stay, and we send a few rules, about to be respectful to the neighbors, not to block the driveway. But we haven't had any issues there.
Is this an Airbnb?
Airbnb, yeah, short-term rental, yeah.
Okay. So you've had rentals there before?
No, this is the only one.
This will be the first time?
No, but I managed 20 properties. They're
Okay.
located in Decatur, Conyers, and this is the only one in Douglasville. So this is the first time we do this,
Oh, okay.
the short-term rental, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Quick question. Do you own the property? Have you ever lived at the
No,
property?
I'm the property manager.
You're
and I
just the
have-
property manager?
Yeah.
You never lived there before?
No, but since since we purchased the house, it's been an Airbnb
So it's been purchased by a company or is it by individual?
by a company, yeah.
A company purchased the house and then just
The owner
Airbnbs it
lives
out.
in Israel, that's why he cannot be here,
Oh.
and I'm representing him.
Got
Yeah,
you.
I'm the
Owner
property
lives in
manager.
Israel.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, planning and zoning board? Thank you. If you.
Thank you.
I
Well,
do have
hold on a
one
minute.
statement. You said it's never been used as an Airbnb?
No, it's always been used as an Airbnb since it was purchased.
Okay.
Yes.
It's always been used, so never been a,
Nobody lives there, no.
Okay.
Mm.
all right. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Not, Madam Chair, throw it to the board for questions you folks may have.
Okay, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? No questions.
No questions. Take your seat, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning and zoning board, if you've heard the discussion, do I have a motion, please? On S 2025-20. Make a statement? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make a statement just for the record that this is a need in our community. Stayed in an Airbnb here recently. One of the concerns that I do have is considering our other voting, the other way we voted earlier today, and then also considering our neighbors, understanding that, you know, if not living in this community, it could affect how you take care of the property. So just want to put that out there as just for the record, as we're considering voting on this. Thank you.
Planning and zoning board, do I have a motion? What she said? No motion?
Yes, this is Frank Payne. I make a motion to approve S 2025-20, a request for a special use permit to allow a short-term rental located at 2948 Legion Lake Road, Douglasville, with the findings as outlined by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion now? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-20, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? And one abstention. Madam Chairman, S 2025-20 comes to you with a recommendation of approval from Planning and Zoning.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, make a motion to deny S 2025-20.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand if you agree to deny. We have all opposed of denying? Okay, we have a 2-1 vote and the motion carries.
It was a motion for denial, right? Okay, thank you very much. Next agenda item, please.
So our next agenda item is the Highway 92 Livable Centers Initiative study. We do recognize that the information wasn't included in the packet that y'all were provided. So staff is of the position that if you would like to defer this to our April 1st meeting, we would completely understand. However, if you would like me to continue with the presentation, I'd be happy to do so.
Planning and zoning board, do I have a motion?
Got a motion. I'll make a motion to table to our April 1st meeting, if that's okay with everybody else.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Melissa Polk. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of tabling that Highway 22 LCI update until April 1st, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous, Madam Chairman. Approval of the Highway 92 LCI updates come to you with a recommendation for tabling
Okay.
until April 1st.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, certainly our business item tonight is approval of the Highway 92 LCI update. Do we have a motion to table? Do we have a motion to table?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to table the approval for the Highway 92 LCI update till the April 1st meeting.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 3-0 vote and the motion, unanimous vote, and the motion carries. I'll yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you very much. Having nothing else to come before the Planning and Zoning Board tonight, I'll declare our meeting adjourned.
Having nothing else to come before this Board of Commissioners in this body, this meeting is adjourned. Okay, you're welcome.